Disney's Wish, reimagined by CartoonFuel. Summary: come join me for a fully reworked, reimagined version of Disney's 100th anniversary film, Wish, featuring scrapped concepts and ideas, further developed characters, a true villain with a backstory, romance, and more. Synopsis: Princess Asha makes a wish so powerful that it's answered by a cosmic force called Star. With Star's help, Asha now faces the daunting task of saving her kingdom from the malevolent King Magnifico and the manipulative Queen Amaya. Feel free to allocate approximately 2 hours for uninterrupted reading, as I purposely designed the story's length to mirror that of an animated movie. Chapter 1. Welcome to Rosas. Notes. Steed. Disclaimer: I saw Wish opening day and enjoyed it. I thought everything about the movie was beautiful, but I wasn't a huge fan of the writing. But that's okay, because now I get to play around with the plot myself. I hope you enjoy. Side note, I am choosing to include most of the songs. Cringe, I know, because I feel they are integral to the original storyline, but with a few lyrical changes here and there. Also, no I'm a star nonsense. Once upon a time, there lived a powerful monarch who ruled over the magical kingdom of Rosas. Together with his wife Queen Amaya, King Magnifico built the city up over several years, evolving their home into an enchanted land where desires transformed into reality, a place where wishes came true. This was, of course, because of Magnifico's extraordinary abilities as a sorcerer. He had studied the ways of magic for most of his life, eventually learning how to manifest a person's hopes and dreams into something tangible, something real. And so people traveled from far and near to reside in the city of Rosas, blissfully awaiting the day their wish would be granted by its most trusted leader. Despite their kingdom's prosperity, the royal couple found their own happiness incomplete, for they longed for the laughter and joy of a child to fill the vast halls of their magnificent palace. And their new Siamese kitten, Lucy, simply didn't make the cut. Unfortunately, the king and queen's wish was far too dangerous to grant using magic. One day, as the golden sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the land, a young girl came sprinting past the king and queen during one of their outings, pursued by several castle guards. While on horseback, King Magnifico cast a spell that stopped the child in their tracks, allowing the guards to catch up to her. Magnifico approached his servants, intently studying the girl in their grasp. She couldn't have been older than 6 or 7. "What happened?" he inquired, raising an eyebrow. "We caught the kid stealing an apple," one of the men explained. The king let out an exasperated sigh and dismounted his horse. No, he groaned, placing both hands on his hips. "You have this all backwards, soldier." Magnifico knelt down, making a mental note regarding the thief's determined expression. "Rosas is a place for all. What's your name, little one?" "Asha," the girl responded, trying to break free from her captors. The king smiled. "What a beautiful name. Tell me, Asha, where are your parents?" Asha closed her eyes and avoided his gaze. "I see." Magnifico stood, quickly glancing at his wife, before returning his attention to Asha. "Do you know who I am?" She nodded. "You have a long way until you turn 18, Asha." Magnifico chuckled, ruffling her dark, disheveled hair, his blue eyes locked with her brown ones. However, he paused, stroking his chin. "How would you like to give your wish to me right now?" She violently shook her head, catching Magnifico off guard. "Well, can you at least tell it to me then?" One look at the officer restraining her, and she was set free. Asha peered over the king's broad shoulders at Queen Amaya, whose warm smile felt like a long-awaited hug. She looked at the ground and murmured, I wish to be like you someday." "Well then," Magnifico held out his hand. "How would you like to live in a castle?" She thought it over before returning the apple to King Magnifico, a single bite having already been taken out of it. Her eyes beamed, face contorted to reflect immense feelings of happiness. Yes! Little did Asha know that her destiny was intricately woven with secrets, dark magic, and a legacy that would soon unfold, changing the lives of those around her forever. As Asha grew, it became evident that she possessed a special knack for performing magic, so Magnifico took her under his wing as an apprentice at the age of 12. The people of Rosas marveled at the bond between the royal family and their adopted princess. They also marveled at how disorganized she was. "Excuse me," Asha shouted as she ran through the castle halls, almost crashing into more than a few servants. "My bad. Late again, princess." One of them rolled their eyes as she rushed by. "Tsuya, can't talk right now. Sorry." Finally, having reached the tower's staircase, Asha skipped up the steps and burst through the doors to King Magnifico's study. "Sorry I'm late," she panted. With his back still facing her, Magnifico sighed deeply. "Maybe we should make things easier on you and bump apparition to this week's curriculum," he said before turning around to reveal a grimace. "As punishment, you'll be leading this morning's tour. We have some guests visiting from a neighboring country. Also, our royal tour guide called in sick." Asha's face fell. "Not again?" she whimpered, her voice trailing off. "Do it with a smile before I throw you out the window." Magnifico snapped before cracking a smile of his own. "And please return later this afternoon for makeup lessons." Okay. Asha accepted her fate, twirling around to head back down the stairs she'd worked so hard to climb. "And Asha," she glanced over her shoulder, stopping herself just before leaving. "Yes? Don't think Amaya and I have forgotten about your 18th birthday coming up." "Looking forward to it," she winked before shutting the large doors behind her. Sliding down the railing, Asha landed gracefully at the bottom of the stairwell, reuniting with her pet goat Valentino. "Hi, Valentino," she beamed, picking him up in her arms. She noticed what appeared to be some scratches near his shoulder blade. "Did that demon cat attack you again?" The goat mewled, burying its face in Asha's chest. "I'm sorry, buddy. I swear one of these days I'm transforming Lucy into a hat. I'm getting really tired of his antics." She patted him on the head and set him down. "Come on, let's go show off the town." Outside, Asha greeted the newcomers, introducing herself as the Princess of Rosas, in which many of them were not expecting her to serve as the tour guide of their excursion. "Welcome to Rosas. Come this way," the princess declared as she shot fireworks into the sky from her fingertips, wowing the crowd. "Where the greatest creations are all on display." She then locked hands with one of the tourists, taking the lead role in a partner dance and directing the group down a stone pathway to the market. "There's no other place just as full of surprise where your dreams and your reality can collide." Valentino followed along, his hooves clicking loudly as he went. "You want to dance on beat?" Asha smiled at the girl she danced with, causing the visitor to blush. Without warning, she and the young lady accidentally bumped into a muscular man with extremely long hair. "Or to have hair touch down to your feet." At the sight of him, Asha thought to herself, "Or waste your wish, really?" And then she released her dance partner and cleared her throat. "Go to outer space?" Her question piqued one of the visiting townsfolk's interests. "Well, hey, you've come to the right place," she told him, with a charming smile, before spinning around and continuing down the street, gesturing to buildings as she went. "'Cause here in the city of Rosas, you can turn all you're wanting to wishing." The princess snapped her fingers, triggering colorful confetti to fall from above. "No what-ifs and no wonders?" "Oh, here in the city of Rosas." Asha approached a large statue of King Magnifico, looking up to it as if it were the real thing. "It's unlikely that you'll be unhappy with so much to discover. A home for me, for you, and all of us." She turned and waited for her companions to catch up, curtsying once they had. "The city of Rosas." Pointing at the statue, Asha explained. "So, like we have this king named Magnifico, and he built Rosas many years ago, with lightning for hands and eyes that can glow." She noticed the anxious looks on their faces after interpreting the meaning of her words. No, I'm totally kidding. But he is powerful." As she spoke, small sparks of purple electricity swirled around Asha's hands and wrists. "He's just like us with a twist, and someone that I'd like to kiss." A random voice interjected. making Asha want to vomit. "Ew," she murmured before moving on. "A magic swish, and there you have it, poof. There's your wish. Ooh, and hey, did I mention? When you turn 18, you get to give your wish in a ceremony. And he keeps them safe, every wish he acquires. And once a month, he grants someone's greatest desire." She then led everyone to the plaza, where daily shows and performances were held. On the way, she added, "It could be you someday." Asha was quickly interrupted again, this time by one of the travelers. "Or my relative Bruno's?" they asked, way too close to her for comfort. "Please show some restraint," Asha replied, creating distance between him and herself. "Does it hurt?" someone asked nervously. Another voice was added to the mix. "Do you cry?" Asha's face softened. "Oh no," she informed her guests, "and you won't even miss it when you say goodbye." The princess then romped off, jumping onto the nearby stage and mimicking the professional performers' movements. "'Cause here, in the city of Rosas, you can turn all you're wanting to wishing. No what-ifs and no wonders. Oh, here in the city of Rosas, it's unlikely that you'll be unhappy with so much to discover." She hopped off the platform to rejoin her assigned caravan of travelers. "A home for me, for you, and all of us." She bowed, implying their tour had come to an end. "The city of Rosas. Excellent," Magnifico exclaimed, fascinated by Asha's progress with producing fire from nothing. "Next, I want you to grow it to fuel it." Asha gave him a confused look, the flames coming from her palm dissipating. "What if I damage something?" He offered a cryptic shrug. "What if?" Despite being puzzled by her teacher's words, Asha obeyed, casting the spell again and increasing its firepower. Yes. He smiled at the results, the crimson element reflecting in his eyes to make them red. After circling around her a few times, he announced, "That's enough for today." "But it's only been like 20 minutes, Asha commented, dispersing the fire. "It's been 45. Magnifico corrected her, removing his cloak and hanging it over a chair. "Besides, Amaya and I have a date." "Again?" When he didn't respond, Asha shifted her demeanor. She took a few curious steps toward him. "Plan on discussing anything interesting?" "Asha," he snapped coldly, causing her to freeze. "Is this about the wishes again?" "What?" She blinked. No, Magnifico turned to face her, leaning against one of his study's many bookshelves. "We've been over this. The wishes are to be safeguarded by Amaya and I alone." And then she cracked. "But if I could just see them." "No," he growled, brushing past Asha to exit the room. "This conversation is over." Before he'd made it to the door, he came to a gradual stop. "So," he twirled in a circle, extending his arms out at his sides. "How do I look?" Asha couldn't stay frustrated with him. "You look great. Handsome. Can you just go already?" With that, Magnifico left Asha alone in his study. Her eyes betrayed her, wandering toward the mysterious curtain protecting all of Rosas's wishes behind it. Chapter 2. At All Costs. Chapter text. "Asha, sweetie," Queen Amaya giggled, shutting her book. "I can hear you outside the door." As a young child, it took the princess several months to grow used to living with a new family, let alone royalty. "Come sit with me," the queen requested, watching as the door to her private study cracked open ever so slowly. The kitten on her lap hopped down and stretched, choosing to lay closer to the fireplace. "If it helps any, I can't sleep either." "Why?" Asha peeped from behind the door. Amaya set her current rid to the side. "The king and I had a little disagreement," she admitted. "Nothing to worry about." Curious as ever, Asha stepped further into the room. "Why?" she repeated. The doors to the balcony were open, revealing a beautiful array of stars nestled in the night skies above. "Someone wasn't happy about their wish not being granted, and your dad and I had to be adults and sort it out." The full moon's soft glow filtered into the chamber. "Why? Not all wishes are meant to be granted, Asha. The three of us must put Rosas's safety first." "Why?" Amaya offered her hand to the princess. "You'll understand when you're older." The girl continued forward, cautiously reaching for her adopted mother's outstretched hand. When things like this happen, he and I take time to diffuse. Sometimes I read, sometimes I sing, sometimes I look at the stars. It all depends, really. Asha's brow furrowed. What can the stars do? Amaya hesitated. The stars have a way of guiding people, she described, turning to look out the window. Aren't they beautiful? The orphan nodded in agreement, taking Amaya's hand and climbing up onto her lap. At first, Rosas's queen wasn't sure how to proceed. Feeling a sudden sense of serenity, she inhaled sharply before singing a lullaby. Promise, as one does. I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. Asha leaned into the woman's chest, her gaze never leaving Amaya. If you're ever feeling like you're lost, I'll come find you. May on all fronts. There's no ocean I won't swim across. To be right by you. And not just once. Here and now I swear on my response. I'll remind you, Amaya continued, gently stroking the child's head. Eventually, Asha yawned and shut her eyes. And promise as one does, I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. Wearing a loving smile, the queen wrapped both arms around her daughter, the two falling fast asleep moments later. Valentino got into the kitchen cupboards again. Dahlia, Asha's best friend, told her before shoving a broom in the princess's face. There's broken glass everywhere. Eyes glazed over, Asha couldn't help but stare at the wall behind her friend. Valentino sitting patiently at their heels. Hello? Earth to Asha. Sorry, she finally replied, taking the broom from Dahlia and walking past her. What's gotten into you? The baker snapped, following Asha further into the industrial kitchen. Nothing. Asha snapped her fingers, causing the broom to move on its own and begin sweeping. It's just... Asha, Dahlia insisted, folding her arms. He's driving me crazy. Princess Asha finally revealed, spinning around to face her companion. Who is? Magnifico, she hissed in response. He's training me as his so-called apprentice. And for what? He can't even trust me. Whoa, slow down. What do you mean? We got into an argument last week. About what? The wishes. Dahlia rolled her eyes. Are you sure you're not overreacting? You do have a bad habit of caring too much. Out of nowhere, another one of their friends, Gabo, popped out from behind the main kitchen island. You could say that again. He snickered. Shove it, Gabo. Dahlia groaned, playfully smacking him in the head with her wooden crutch. Another voice entered the conversation, belonging to the teenager Bazima. Maybe you should talk to the queen about it, she suggested, turning red and shying away seconds later. Or maybe not. 4 more teens wandered into the kitchen, one of them snatching a cookie off the counter and catapulting it into his mouth. Dahlia didn't approve, quickly reprimanding him. Dario, those are for the king, she barked, watching in disbelief as he reached for another anyway. Dario! She slapped his hand and caught the pastry before it fell to the floor. Returning to Asha, she presented more of the same baked goods. Can you take these with you when you leave? Asha's top lip curled up in disgust upon realizing they were shaped like Magnifico's face. Of course, she responded. Valentino jumped up and rested his hooves on Asha's skirt. Sorry, Val. These aren't for you. Gabo wandered over to Asha, a strange glint in his eye. So, the king's been a royal pain lately, Yeah, what's the deal? Hal interjected, seating herself on one of the countertops. Is there anything we can do to help? Bazima asked. It really wasn't for all of you to know. Asha explained with a shrug. Parents will be parents, Gabo grunted. Yeah, Safi agreed. Whatever it is, give it some time, and I'm sure things will work out. He then vehemently sneezed, waking the boy next to him known as Simon. What did I miss? Simon asked, before leaning against the nearest wall and going right back to sleep. Dahlia face-palmed. Asha, just take these and go, she said, handing her the batch of desserts. Bazima's right. Talk to Amaya if you think it will help. Whenever I'm frustrated, I find venting to my mom to be really helpful. Asha nodded, moving to empty the broken glass she'd cleaned into the trash. Thank you all. She waved at her friends. Come on, Valentino. You got this, Dahlia called after her. Asha stood outside the door to Amaya's study, counting to 10 as she inhaled deeply and then exhaled. After gathering enough courage, she knocked on the door. Come in, came the Queen's amiable voice. Hi, it's me. Asha introduced herself before scanning the room. Once she had, the air itself held its breath. King Magnifico was with the Queen, both he and his wife standing on opposite sides of the room. Feeling the weight of the king's gaze, Asha's brain finally caught up with her surroundings. Am I interrupting something? Not at all. Amaya tilted her head. Lucy sat atop the mantel, flicking his tail repeatedly. What is it, dear? Oh, I was just... Asha stammered. I was thinking, Magnifico leaned forward to rest both his elbows on the back of the upholstered chair in front of him. Well, I was wondering if either of you could tell me more about dark magic. Asha gritted her teeth. Or forbidden magic, whatever you want to call it. The two flinched simultaneously, surprised by her random interest in such a topic. Valentino poked his head inside the room, quickly retreating after making eye contact with Lucy. Where did that come from? Asha gulped. That lexicon you have in your study, she mentioned, avoiding Magnifico's gaze. It got me wondering. Come, Magnifico demanded, beckoning Asha as he walked by. By the way, Asha, when are you going to wear that gorgeous dress the royal seamstress made for you? Amaya inquired. I'll let you know, Asha stated vaguely, chasing after the king. Having caught up with him, Asha stared at the back of Magnifico's head, worry swirling within her mind. You don't want to wear the dress, do you? He suddenly queried, stealing her full attention. You know me too well. Asha grinned, rubbing the back of her neck. It's pretty, but, well, it definitely limits movement. No sane sorceress would wear it. Good. The king chuckled. You've been listening. Once they'd arrived at his study, King Magnifico led Asha to the aforementioned lexicon. Where did you find this anyway? Asha blurted, her hand covering her mouth in an instant. As you know, the home I grew up in was attacked by thieves. He deadpanned. One of them left this spellbook behind. Asha raised an eyebrow. Have you studied it before? Heavens, no. Right. I mean, why would you? After all, you are a revered, self-taught sorcerer. I would hate for your knowledge to stem from such ill practices, and at such an early age, too. Magnifico glared at her before clearing his throat. Review? He put plainly, pacing in front of Asha. What is dark magic? It had been some time since he and Asha had covered this topic, but she dug deep and provided whatever information she knew on hand. Dark magic typically causes harm, but not always in some cases. What else? It tries to do what most magic can't. Magnifico sat on his desk in front of her. Such as? Completely eliminate free will, she recalled. Create life from nothing. Reanimate the dead. It's powerful but inconsistent. Never worth endangering the ones you love and protect. Like our people. Look at you. Magnifico beamed. I am proud to have raised such an intelligent woman. The corners of Asha's mouth twisted up into a smile. Oh, thank you. He paused for a moment, looking her up and down. Come with me, Asha. I have something to show you, and I think you're going to like it. With a measly wave of his hand, the massive curtain hiding the wish sanctuary fell away, revealing an unexplored space teeming with something Asha could only describe as pure life. Rosace's princess wandered up the stairs to the sanctuary, taking in every single detail as she looked to the skies above. Just underneath the ceiling hovered thousands of wishes, their beauty captivating Asha in an instant. She began, trying to find the words. They're everything. Without warning, a wish whizzed by Asha's head, drawn to Magnifico as if he were a magnet. Wishes are a part of your heart, he shared, unable to look away from the orb floating slightly above his palm, the very best part, which is why I've been hesitant to share them with you. Dancing among the globes, Asha listened to Magnifico as he continued on, utterly mesmerized by the kingdom's collection of wishes. If happiness was a tangible thing, it would be you. If you'd have told me the feeling you'd bring, I'd think it untrue. And people search for a wonder like you, all of their lives. You still amaze me after all this time. You pull me in like some kind of wind, mesmerized by the hold I'm in. Leave you here. I wanna promise as one does. I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. Hypnotized by the wishes, Asha reflected as well, wandering amongst Rosas's greatest desires with a spark in her eyes. What's pain when I look at you? No way I could explain you, even if tried to. I'll never dream like I used to do. If someone tried to hurt you, I don't see how that could happen. I'd fight for you in ways you can't imagine. Felt this? No, I haven't. I hope it would be all right to stay right here beside you. Recalling a familiar lullaby, the two combined their voices, astounded and consumed by the ethereal magic surrounding them, and promise as one does. I will protect you at all costs, keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. If you're ever feeling like you're lost, I'll come find you. Man all fronts. There's no ocean I won't swim across. To be right by you, and not just once. Here and now, I swear on my response. I'll remind you, and promise as one does. I will protect you at all costs. You does. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. Snapping herself out of her trance, Asha turned to Magnifico. Thank you, she expressed, smiling all the while. Floating upward, the wishes escaped Asha's reach, returning to their designated space above. There are so many, the girl observed while looking skyward. Not quite as many as I'd imagined, but still, aren't they beautiful? This is the most beautiful magic I've ever seen. A thought popped into her head, and Asha considered whether or not she should hold her tongue. If I may ask, how many of these wishes do you plan on granting? Magnifico choked on air. There are plenty to choose from each month, he shrugged. I suppose it depends. I'm sorry? Magnifico sighed. Well, it is the king's responsibility to only grant the wishes he is sure are good for Rosas. Many are not. Asha's heart skipped a beat. So, most of these wishes will never be granted? Yet I still protect them like all the others, he replied, mindlessly mixing some potions together. You're familiar with the kingdom's traditions, are you not, Asha? Can't you just give them back instead? Excuse me? The king snapped. Asha swallowed bravely. The wishes you're not going to grant. You could just give them back. Then, I don't know. Then the people can try to pursue them themselves? You know, if they're dangerous, they can be stopped. But if they're not, you've completely missed the point, he hissed. If you would just listen. People come here because they know they can't make their own dreams come true. The journey's too hard. It is too unfair. They give their wishes to me willingly, and I make it so they forget their worries. Feeling unsure and heartbroken, Asha thought hard before speaking. You make it so they forget the most beautiful part of themselves, she declared, prepared for the worst. And they don't know what they're missing, but we do. The people of Rosas are good, and it's our job to protect them. They deserve more than... I decide what everyone deserves. The sorcerer roared, flinging magic between them. Asha froze, knowing she'd overstepped her mentor's boundary long ago. He flicked a speck of dust from his cloak before lowering his voice and adding, How disappointing! And here I thought I could trust you. Each word a poisoned arrow to Asha's heart. There's a wish ceremony this evening, he sneered, brushing past her. I expect you to be there. You will be, won't you? She turned her back to him and murmured, I will be. That's my girl. Even though it shut gently, the sound of the door closing still made Asha flinch. Chapter 3. This Wish. Are you ready, Rosas? Magnifico announced as he pounced onto the stage, using his magical abilities to conjure an astounding light show. The crowd erupted with enthusiasm, eagerly anticipating whether he intended to fulfill their desires. "Another beautiful night in my kingdom." Meanwhile, Princess Asha was eager to get off the stage. She sat next to the queen, a dominating sense of dread settling in the pit of her stomach. All her life, Asha had believed in Rosas's leadership. All her life, she'd bought into the king's dogmatic views, hook, line, and sinker. All her life. But now, something about King Magnifico's magic felt off. "So, I'd like to welcome 2 newcomers today," King Magnifico continued, shaking the hands of the city's newest additions. Moments later, he was taking their wishes, the couple appearing slightly dazed afterward. Asha watched through a new lens, uncertainty swirling within her mind. After sending them away, Magnifico ran a hand through his silver hair before shouting, "Now, who is ready to have their wish granted? I don't even know what my wish is anymore," Asha murmured, catching Queen Amaya's attention. "What's that, Asha?" she asked, wearing a concerned expression. The princess hesitated, eventually deciding it wouldn't be right to divulge her newfound worries to Amaya during something as boisterous as a wish ceremony. Magnifico called a woman up to the stage, declaring she had wished to sew the most beautiful dresses in all the land. Now empowered with the proper tools, the woman eagerly rushed off the stage, ready to put her newfound skills to the test. Summoning bravery, or perhaps stupidity, Asha rose to her feet. "Why her wish?" she barked, the entire crowd gasping in response. King Magnifico slowly turned to face her, hiding his embarrassment behind lowered lids as he met her gaze. "I mean, why hers, when there are others with the power to save lives? Might you provide some kind of explanation?" "Ah," Magnifico forced a laugh. "Thank you for reminding me." Stepping back a few paces, he casually draped an arm over her shoulders. "Princess Asha's 18th birthday is next month. What a party that will be." In succession, the residents of Rosas began to applaud, their clapping masking the upcoming conversation between the king and princess. "Asha," he whispered, "let's not make a scene." She pushed him away. "I saw each and every one of those wishes. Why would you prioritize selfish desires over helping someone in need?" Magnifico's lip curled up in anger. "I gave you your answer." Asha felt a snap within her during that moment. "Good luck, trying to take a wish from me that doesn't exist." Having said that, the girl rushed off the stage, abandoning the ceremony completely. Valentino chased after Asha, listening as she rambled in frustration. "Something's not right, Val," she hissed, hurrying on the way to her bedroom. She briskly walked past the stairs that led to Magnifico's study, her gaze lingering as it reached the top of the stairwell. Before even she knew it, Asha had already pivoted on her heel and was ascending the spiral staircase, determination highlighted in her eyes. Storming into the king's study, the young woman scanned the space for suspicious materials. "What are you hiding, Magnifico?" It was inevitable her gaze would land on the lexicon she'd inquired about earlier. "Why do we even have that evil book?" the princess muttered, traipsing toward it. Valentino followed in a state of helplessness, his eyes shifting anxiously between her and their escape to safety. If he could speak, he would be reminding Asha of Magnifico's words right now. "Never go into my study without permission." Terrified, Valentino chose to keep watch and wait by the door. To guard the forbidden artifact, Magnifico had cast a protective spell on its casing. Once Asha was too close, the pattern etched into the glass came loose and fluttered around her. With a mere gesture, the creatures froze and fell to the ground, continuing to twitch every so often while lying on the floor. Opening the case, Asha grabbed the book and started mindlessly flipping through its pages, aware of the fact that Magnifico could walk in on her at any moment. However, she halted upon recognizing a familiar image, an encapsulated wish appearing in the form of a bubble. The living, breathing wishes of humanity hold formidable might, Asha read to herself, and capturing their essence is the key to a long, prosperous life. Valentino whimpered, trying to nab Asha's attention. Magnifico's magic. She paused, glancing in the direction of the kingdom's wishes. "Is dark magic?" Asha felt faint, experiencing said mental exhaustion. She closed the book, returning it to its casing. To cover her tracks, the young sorceress used a charm to mimic the magic placed on the artifact's glass case. She reunited with Valentino and commented, "Whatever magic Magnifico uses to take wishes is in that grimoire. All this time, he's been stealing wishes, manipulating the people of Rosas into thinking this place is some sort of utopia." Asha glimpsed at the curtain hiding the wishes once more, when really, Rosas is a trap. She hesitated. I wonder if Amaya knows. When she looked forward again, Magnifico suddenly stood in her way. She jumped, creating space between herself and him. Asha, he sighed, continuing to block the doorway. I told you not to come in here without my permission. I'm sorry, she stammered, observing Valentino shifting to take cover behind her. I promise I didn't touch the wishes, he sighed before admitting. I'm sorry too. Asha stared at him blankly. I've been harsh lately. I would have shown you the wishes sooner, but they're powerful. The world is a dangerous place. We simply must be careful. Wishes can be granted and cause joy, or they can be granted and cause unimaginable pain. I would know. Maybe she was crazy. Maybe Magnifico and Amaya were great leaders, deserving of trust. Maybe, he then added, and capturing their essence is the key to a long, prosperous life for all of the people of Rosas. Asha swore his eyes briefly assumed a green hue. She needed to get out. I get it, she replied, clinging to the sides of her skirt. You've done so much for me. For everyone. I don't know why I acted the way I did. Rosas's princess swallowed her pride, committing to her facade. I should show you more respect. Can you forgive me? Magnifico smiled before extending his arms. Absolutely. Hugging him was the last thing Asha wanted to do, but she did it anyway. It turned out asking for forgiveness was easier than asking for permission. Promise me one thing. Asha withdrew and gave a nod. For the sake of Rosas's protection, please keep this between us. I would hate for something to go awry. She swallowed thickly. Right. Thank you. He took a deep breath. Now run along. You have some studying to do. She nodded again. Right away. Asha strolled by him, gently urging Valentino to move with her. See you later, for lessons. Or see you sooner, whichever happens first. Asha let out an awkward chuckle. Say, it felt as if Magnifico's voice surrounded her. Can't wait! I'm serious, Amaya snapped, pacing inside Magnifico's study. We should have told her the truth when she was young. But no, you had to woo her instead. Don't blame me, Magnifico retorted, seated behind his desk. Doing so gets us nowhere. And then you go and just let her run off? She agreed to keep the wishes secret. You put too much trust in that girl. Amaya gathered Lucy in her arms. Are you even aware of how much time I spend with her compared to you? Did you really just say that? Amaya snarled. If I mustn't blame you, I'll simply remind you. Next time we seek a wish granter to replace us, we mold them from the beginning. Not this late in the game. Asha's still young, mind you. The king stood. Besides, how was I supposed to know this outcome? You and your outcomes. Amaya lazily tossed the cat aside, eliciting a hiss from the feline in return. What? They didn't teach teenage rebellion to you in Parenting 101? Amaya! Magnifico finally raised his voice, causing her to shrink back. You act as if you don't care about her, he remarked with an unwavering stare. And I do a damn good job pretending. Amaya's husband rolled his eyes, pinching the bridge of his nose. If rebellion is all this is, we have nothing to worry about. She'll understand in time. Let's hope, Amaya countered. I would hate to put Rosas at risk of needing a plan B. Without another word, she exited the room, leaving King Magnifico alone with Lucy. Asha raced deep into the woods, navigating the surrounding areas of the kingdom shrouded in nightfall. In her role as the Princess of Rosas, she often wondered whether her words held any significant influence. Isn't truth supposed to set you free? She meandered across a stone bridge, unsure of which path to take going forward. Well, why do I feel so weighed down by it? If I could show them everything I've seen, open their eyes to all the lies, then would they change their minds like I did? But when I speak, they tell me, "Sit down." But how can I when I've already started running? Oh, this is where we've been, but it's not where we belong. And I may be young, but I know I'm not wrong. Having crossed into a small section of the city, Asha threw her head upward, the loyal Valentino venturing alongside her. So I look up at the stars to guide me and give me that chance I need to shine. If knowing what it could be is what drives me, then let me be the first to stand in line. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. As Asha neared the flock, numerous birds took flight, tempting Valentino to pursue a couple. With a gesture, she conjured a cascade of cherry blossom petals, adorning the streets with their natural beauty. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 more than this, oh, Now, in one of Rosas's many impressive courtyards, Asha dipped her hand into a fountain, scooping up some of the crystal-clear water, and eventually letting it spill back into the reservoir through her fingertips. I never knew I needed room to grow, she continued, her gaze landing on a nearby mural of Magnifico. As if holding a gun, Asha pointed her index finger at the artwork. Yeah, I did what I was told when someone told me, Out of her fingertips sprang a small bolt of fire, the flames burning Magnifico's perfectly shaped nose. Now I've got all of this freedom in my bones, but I've still got the lid on so it doesn't overflow. Asha sprinted forward, oblivious to the goat playfully sticking its tongue out at the image of the king. Upon reaching the summit of a staircase, she surveyed her surroundings, still working hard to determine her next best course of action. 'Cause I've got reservations and hesitations on where I should even begin. I'm past dipping my toes in, but I'm not. No, I'm not past diving in. If I could just be pointed in any given direction, on where to go and what to do. My legs are shaking, but my head's held high, the way you always taught me to. Was Queen Amaya in the dark on all of this too? Asha could only regret not getting the chance to speak with her. Having noticed a sizable tree with a vantage point over the castle, Asha sped ahead, making her way towards it. So I look up at the stars to guide me and give me that chance I need to shine. I'm sure there will be challenges that find me, but I can take them on one at a time. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I make this wish, hey, yeah, 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 to have something more than this, oh, Now perched atop the tree, the princess beamed a gentle smile at the stars, her gaze fixating on one in particular. So I make this wish, to have something more for us than this. A few peaceful moments passed before a bright flash illuminated the atmosphere, forcing Asha to cover her eyes. Turning her attention back to the stars, she noticed the brightest of them all had gone missing. Meanwhile, the rest of the kingdom observed in awe as a brilliant light fell from the heavens, bright enough to even wake some individuals from the deepest slumber. King Magnifico, however, wouldn't use awe to describe his reaction. What's happening? He wondered, watching helplessly as the wishes began to freak out above him. No, 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 no. What kind of magic is this? Bewildered, Queen Amaya approached her spouse as he paced nervously inside his study. Is this some sort of warning? Magnifico hesitated for a moment, moving to stare out the window. We can't know for sure, his wife responded, slightly furrowing her brow. I will find out. He spun around, his white cape trailing in his wake. If it kills me. What was that? Asha queried, aggressively rubbing her eyes. A nervous noise escaped Valentino, enticing the princess to further investigate the area. You felt it too, didn't you? It was electric. It was joy and hope, and possibility and wonder, inside the most loving light. Can light be loving? She leaned against a well, staring into the distance. I sound ridiculous, don't I? Valentino vanished from sight, ignoring Asha's sentiment. I'll take that as a yes. All of a sudden, A surge of magical cosmic energy darted by her, tickling her ear in the process. She twirled around, pursuing the incredibly agile golden entity. Whoa! In pursuit of the silhouette, Asha finally arrived at a clearing in the woods, witnessing the character darting restlessly from one end to another. Without warning, Valentino was lifted into the air by the mysterious being. Hey! Princess Asha barked, a protective instinct washing over her. Put him down! Before she did anything else, Asha's eyes widened in disbelief, jaw dropping as she tried to process the sight of a mere boy, albeit shiny, almost blindingly so, hovering before her. Excitement and awe mingled as 1,000 questions raced through her mind, turning this chance encounter into a thrilling spectacle. What are you? The radiant young man shimmered with a dazzling glow, his every movement leaving a trail of sparkling light as he pet the goat in his arms. He tilted his head at Asha, revealing a hint of mischievousness as a grin played at the corners of his mouth. He lowered himself and set Valentino on the ground, magically transforming into an exact replica of the farm animal. Well, the color didn't match. Instead, the shapeshifter continued to cast a brilliant golden glow that painted the air with a touch of enchantment. Valentino visibly glowered at his new twin, taking cautious steps backward until he had rejoined Asha at her side, after a bit of showmanship, successfully transforming into a mouse, a turtle, a dolphin, and finally an otter, each creature capable of soaring through the air like he could. The whimsical boy, having sufficiently startled Valentino, returned to his usual form and drifted slowly toward Asha. "Oh, hi," she stammered, leaning away from him. He paid especially close attention to the freckles that adorned her nose and cheeks, before observing the long braids that draped over one of her shoulders. "Princess Asha at your service." She considered giving a curtsy, but they'd most definitely bonk heads if she did. In response to her introduction, the boy retreated, his vibrant eyes going wide. He then bowed, a cape-like trail of luminescence flowing behind him. "And what do we call you?" The figure brought a hand to his chin in thought and looked at his surroundings before pointing at the sky. "Oh, sky?" He gave Asha a funny look and shook his head, further exaggerating his skyward gesture. "Not sky, huh? Walt? No, Esteban." With a now furrowed brow, the boy planted both hands on his hips. "Am I getting close?" He approached a nearby tree and traced patterns on its trunk with a lone fingertip, leaving behind a trail of light following the path of his index finger. He had doodled a star on the tree, turning to face Rosas's princess with a proud smirk plastered on his face. Asha's face lit up with a gentle smile, her eyes illuminating with just enough realization. "Star," she said warmly, and the sound of his name made Star's cheeks glow just a bit brighter. Chapter 4. Star. Star, Asha beamed. "Of course, because you're a star. You're the star. You're... Wow! Just wow!" With elegance, Star ascended, twirling in a circle before extending a friendly wave. Now that she'd been given the chance, Asha gracefully curtsied. The princess then took a few steps back, tucking a few braids behind her ear. "But how is this possible? I know I wished on one, but that's not, this isn't, no." Valentino rolled his eyes below her. "I must be crazy. Do I seem crazy to you? Quick, check my pupils. Maybe I'm concussed." As if to ask if she trusted him, Star offered her his hand. She cautiously reached out, and the moment their hands met, a wave of happiness and warmth washed over her. "Whoa!" she murmured. He released her hand and floated downwards until his feet touched the ground. With every step he took, Star left aureate footprints that gradually faded away over time. "I have a weird question," Asha abruptly added. The young man cupped his ear and leaned in attentively, waiting patiently for her next words. "Do you grant wishes?" Shaz cast her an uncertain glance and merely shrugged. "Oh, sorry." Asha rubbed the back of her neck. "I don't mean to pry. Oh, never mind. It's a long story, Plus, I'm no stranger to magic, so I can't help but be curious. At her command, a small flame emerged from the tip of her index finger. Tilting his head further, the ethereal entity moved a bit closer as if to request more details. In response, Asha inhaled sharply. My father, King Magnifico, is capable of granting wishes, she explained, drawing circles in the dirt with her toes to illustrate the physical appearance of those wishes, but not in the way I expected. She then kicked the dirt, ruining her artwork. He steals these wishes from people and, well, chooses which ones to grant. At first I was like, dang, that's super cool. But after actually seeing the wishes, I started to wonder what was really going on. And now I'm realizing how stupid I sound considering there are thousands of people in Rosas, and he grants only one wish per month. So of course many wishes are to be overlooked. Turns out I was right to have reservations because Asha hadn't noticed, but Star was slowly turning a shade of red. The grant-wishing power Magnifico wields is a form of dark magic. Like a pinball, the boy rebounded off a few tree trunks to release some steam, gradually reverting to his golden state. His antics caused Valentino to jump into Asha's arms. When he was finished, he sat atop a tree branch with crossed legs, mind clearly whirling with thoughts and opinions. Don't like that, huh? Asha remarked, gently stroking Valentino's fur. Star violently shook his head, floating down from the tree, while his elbow continued resting on one knee. Me neither. I guess that's why they call the truth ugly sometimes. She hesitated, furrowing her brow. I really looked up to him, too. I wanted to be him. Don't meet your idols, they say. Too bad I was raised by mine. Now level with Asha, yet standing a couple inches taller, Star's expression saddened. But I'm being negative. Look at you. You're radiant, beautiful, and full of life. I had no idea magic like you existed. She circled him one time, observing the way he sparkled and shined. Feeling shy, Star used his hands to cover his face, leaving only his eyes visible as he peeked through his fingertips at Asha. Sorry, I talk a lot when I'm nervous. Dahlia says it's because I care too much. He silently giggled, causing his shoulders to bounce up and down. While he possessed an androgynous appearance, his Adam's apple and sharp jawline unmistakably emanated masculinity. And because I care too much, I have to make this right. Problem is, I don't have a clue where to start. Star's attention shifted toward the castle, a figurative and literal magical light bulb illuminating above his head, before he redirected his focus to Asha. He pointed a glowing finger at Rosas, almond eyes glimmering with curiosity. Yes, that's the castle, Princess Asha reported. He summoned a yellow orb in one hand, allowing it to hover over Magnifico's study from afar. He then swiped it away and zoomed toward Asha, showing it to her with a determined glint in his eye. You mean we take them back ourselves? Star nodded, rubbing his hands together menacingly. Asha raised a single eyebrow. But if we take them, isn't that stealing? I mean, we can't just... Star, true to his dramatic nature, rolled his eyes with a touch of theatrical exaggeration. Right, they don't belong to him, do they? He simply smirked at her, eyes growing brighter with every passing second. Okay, but before she knew it, Star was grabbing her hand and yanking her forward. Wait, calm down. These are my parents we're talking about. We don't want to make them angry. Having fallen from Asha's arms, Valentino anxiously pursued them, his hooves clopping with each step. One book here, one book there, one book all the way on the other side of the room. Some books had even become fireplace kindling. What was it? King Magnifico hissed, rifling through his study's entire library. What was it? Who could have commanded it? He tossed several more books aside, turning from one to the next. Why is there nothing? Having perused a few pages, he ultimately tossed one last book into the fire, resulting in billows of smoke ascending from the flames. Queen Amaya poked her head into the room, eyes laden with confusion as she took in the scene playing before her. Mireille, she spoke softly. What has happened here? Magnifico turned to face her. I don't know who we're dealing with. and these books are useless." The man growled. "Well, it's likely to be someone in Rosas. Speaking of which, have you seen Asha?" "Asha is not my concern at this time, but she's the only other person in the kingdom allowed to practice magic. She was never taught how to pull stars from the sky, Amaya." Magnifico hurled a book in her direction, but she effortlessly halted it with a swift movement of her hand. "Unless," Amaya groaned, "I suggest you look to our people and see if they know anything." "My people," Magnifico stubbornly corrected her. Taking a moment, the queen gently redirected his gaze towards the window. "They love you. I know. They would do anything for you. Of course they would. You are their most handsomest beloved king." Magnifico hesitated before taking a deep breath. "You're right. I am a handsome king. There we go." She patted him on the head. "Let me assemble the subjects. I'll ensure everyone is prepared for your address by this afternoon." "Thank you, mi reina." Amaya's husband cracked a smile. "I'll be ready for them." Before entering the walls of Rosas, Asha effectively halted Star long enough to convey her worries to him. "I really don't want anyone seeing you," Asha explained, blocking the path to keep Star from racing ahead. "Can't you just—" "Oh, here." The princess unveiled a pocket on her purple dress situated at the hip. "Can you change into something small and hide in here?" The star's cheeks flushed with unease before he transformed into a mouse, quickly floating inside the pocket. His small head emerged, golden eyes meeting Valentino's. Star's miniature rodent arm waved, only to be met with an awkward glance from the goat. "Perfect," Asha remarked, a momentary wave of relief rushing over her. "Now, what's the best way to get inside Magnifico's study without him knowing? We can't exactly walk right in, and we could maybe use a distraction." She thought for a moment, quickly becoming overwhelmed by their current objective. "Dahlia, she can get me in. Or maybe I should speak with Amaya first." After a brief pause, she elevated her tone. "Come on, Val. Let's head to the bakery." Having navigated the bustling streets, Asha entered the royal bakery, discreetly slipping into the pantry. Observing the luminous deity nestled in her pocket, Asha instructed, "Stay hidden until I say otherwise." "Got it?" The twinkling mouse winked in response, momentarily curling into a compact ball, attempting to appear composed, but struggling to maintain such a facade. Asha exited the storage room and approached Dahlia, who was engrossed in her baking. "Dahlia, hi," Asha blurted, casually leaning against the nearest barrel. "What you working on there?" "Well, I was going to make more Magnifico cookies, but now that he's called another town meeting, they'll have to wait," Dahlia commented, throwing some pans into the sink. "Wait, he did what?" All of a sudden, Dahlia stopped what she was doing and faced Asha. "Girl, where have you been? Haven't you heard the news?" Asha gripped her opposite arm. "Is this about the star that fell?" Dahlia froze. "Please don't tell me you had something to do with that." Rosas's princess shook her head in order to focus, avoiding her friend's intense gaze. "Dahlia, I need your help with something. It's important." "Asha, look at me." Leaning her walking stick against the counter, Dahlia crossed both arms over her chest. "What's going on?" "I need you to distract Magnifico for a while. I have to sneak into his study using the pulley thingy you told me about and find some information." Valentino hopped onto a nearby counter and took a seat. "Sneak into the king's study?" "Asha, that sounds risky. Please just tell me what this is about. I can't explain everything now. You'll just have to trust me. Can you keep him occupied during the meeting or not?" "Asha, Dahlia, please." "You'll have to order me." And then Star popped out, pointing fingers in Dahlia's face and advancing forward until the two of them were nose to nose. He was still a magical flying mouse, of course, so the look on Dahlia's face was filled with pure horror, as the creature had invaded her freshly cleaned kitchen. "Star, no!" At the sound of Asha's command, Star retreated, ashamed by his sudden outburst. He reverted to his male form, hovering a few feet away from the girls. The boy chose to hide behind Asha, triggering a deep sigh from her. "Dahlia, meet Star. Long story short, King Magnifico is up to something terrible. I wished on a star, not at all expecting this to happen. As the Princess of Rosas, I can't sit here and do nothing. You can understand that, right? You owe me more details later. Dahlia gave in, surprising Asha. Although I'm not sure I even want to know. She cleared her throat. So how do you expect me to distract the king? Do anything that might capture his attention. Stall. Keep him away for as long as you can. I'll do my best. Dahlia, captivated by Star, gradually exited while keeping her gaze fixed on him. Does, Star grant wishes? Asha blinked at her. No, but he's powerful. Star flexed his muscles in response. I think he wants to help grant mine. Just be careful, Asha. Thank you. I appreciate this more than you know. Promise I'll fill you in once I'm out. Before they parted ways, Asha spoke up once more. And for everyone's safety, please keep this between us. Dahlia responded by tossing an imaginary key aside, sealing her lips shut. You got it, Princess. Chapter 5. This is the thanks I get. The residents of Rosas were perplexed, gathered for the second time in a week by their king and queen. Some, as always, seemed eager for their wish to be granted. Dahlia, along with Gabo, Dario, Hal, Safi, Bazima, and Simon, occupied front row seats, the leader among the teens showing a slightly more anxious demeanor. King Magnifico, clearing his throat, walked past his wife and addressed the crowd. Greetings! I apologize for the inconvenience, but I thank each one of you for dragging yourselves out of your homes. Again, after last night's little bad event, I must inform you that there is a traitor among us. The audience emitted gasps like an eerie chorus reminiscent of zombies. Amidst this, Asha's best friend remained exempt, entrusted with safeguarding her friend's intentions. Magnifico urged, anyone possessing information about this individual must step forward. His eyes briefly connecting with Dahlia's, he added sternly, should you refuse, there will be consequences. Observing Dahlia's heaving shoulders, Gabo raised an eyebrow and asked, What's up with you? When she didn't respond, he nudged her. What do you want, Gabo? She replied, feigning confidence. Leave me alone. I barely slept last night. Pretty sure that goes for most of us here. Gabo grunted, crossing his arms. That falling star didn't just wake you up. Be quiet, you guys. Safi snapped before sneezing, forcing Hal to take cover. The thoughtful Bazima was quick to hand him a handkerchief. Hey, Simone yawned. Where's Princess Asha? Good question, Dario said. She's usually up on the stage. A sudden outburst from the king shattered Dahlia's thoughts. Do you... Magnifico hesitated, pointing at each of the teens once in order to count them. 7? Have something to share? No, Your Majesty. Dahlia stepped forward, her expression shifting to one of horror the instant she caught the sound of a fiery explosion emanating from the king's study. The noise caught Magnifico and Amaya's attention, encouraging Dahlia to act fast. But we were discussing some questions we had. The king narrowed his eyes. Go on. Luis. Well, first things first, hi. I'm Dahlia, and I make your Magnifico cookies. I know who you are. Super! Sorry, it's just I don't think you and I've ever spoken. After all, Queen Amaya hired me as the royal baker years ago. Not sure what say you had in that. Despite being the... king, the crowd exchanged glances, growing increasingly tired of Dahlia's chattiness. To say the least, Magnifico seemed uninterested. Fantastic. What can I do for you, Dahlia? He spoke in a hurry, his flattened brow making Dahlia panic a bit. She gulped. Pragmatically speaking, what evidence qualifies? Like, let's say we have an idea of who the traitor might be, but we're not 100% sure, so perhaps it's more of a hunch. Any information would be helpful, so please, hunch away. Magnifico groaned. Meanwhile, Asha, Star, and Valentino had made it safely inside the Chamber of Wishes. Asha watched as Star swam among the orbs, mimicking wishes by shape-shifting into what represented them the most. Star, Asha called out sharply. Hey, focus! We need to figure out a way to get these out of here. Unnoticed, too. But there are thousands. In retrospect, I should have thought this through better. Maybe there's a spell I could... No, not really. Ugh! She paused, her shoulders bouncing with laughter, as she realized Star's delight amid the multitude of wishes. All of a sudden, Valentino bleated, drawing Asha's attention to a lever in the wall. Valentino, you're a genius! Asha joined him, recalling Magnifico mentioning the tower's roof could open as a night sky observatory. What would I do without you? Back on the ground, Magnifico grew fed up with complicated questions, such as, are our wishes safe? And, are you going to grant any of our wishes today? And, can I change my wish? Silence, he finally shouted, irritated with his people. Each citizen froze in shock. Whoever identifies the traitor, your wish will be granted. Anyone who helps the traitor, your wish will never be granted. With that, the king stomped inside, suggesting everyone, including Amaya, stay far away. Magnifico stormed up the grand stairwell to his study, his broad shoulders rigid and his brow furrowed with anger. I can't help it if mirrors love my face. He growled in what he felt was an attempt to rekindle his massive ego. It's genetics! Yeah, I got these genes from outer space! Pushing open the twin doors leading to the castle's historical exhibit, a landmark situated midway up the staircase to his study, Magnifico ran his fingers through his silver hair. Peep the name, I'm magnificent! I put the I in omnipotent. I'm passionate. I'm not petulant. Someone praise me for my benevolence. As if he had an audience at all times, he took a deep breath. Just look, huh? Summoning small figurines with his magic, he danced around a scale model of Rosas. I'd give the clothes off Benito's back, if you really needed that. I'd be the first one to volunteer. Henry, if your home were to crumble, or if you were in trouble. A character representing a servant named Henry became trapped under the burning rubble of a house. I let you live here for free, refusing to charge you rent. I clean up all your messes and I'm always there when you need to vent. As he skipped through the next corridor, the king distributed Magnifico cookies to the suits of armor adorning the hall. I give and give and give and give. You'd think they'd all be content. Suddenly, a suit collapsed, steel fingertips enchantingly wrapping around Magnifico's ankle. Nadia, and all I really want is just a little respect. He then kicked the soldier away and ventured further up a flight of stairs, singing as he went. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. Just before entering the wish sanctuary, some of Magnifico's reflections stopped him. On the other side of the curtain, Asha and company could hear Magnifico approach. You're so brilliant. Ah, that's the least you could say, he replied to himself, in an almost flirtatious manner. There's more. Admit it. Numerous other reflections chimed in, showering the king with compliments. You're cute and strong and bold and brave. Thanks. He burst into the study, completely oblivious to the princess, her pet, and the star secretly scurrying around the space like rats. Only Star had transformed into a hummingbird. See this kingdom? I built it up. And you still complain? Ungrateful much? Star drifted toward the king, fixing his gaze on the man twirling around his study. Asha promptly grabbed his tail, pulling him back and hiding him behind the counter. Golden feathers gently descended to the floor, transforming into glimmering sparkles seconds later. Are you sure that you're not the prob? I'd love to see you try and do my job. The wishes lowered themselves toward Magnifico, swirling around him while lighting up the room with a cerulean glow. I granted 14 wishes last year. Come on, that's a high %. He quickly grabbed a nearby wish, grasping it tightly in one hand. And now you're questioning your king? The disrespect I just underwent. He then flung it back into the air. You know I always got your back. Yeah, really though, it's no sweat. Since the day you were born, and the day that we met. In the meantime, Asha and the others were silently crawling toward the exit. The king's current path, however, was going to cut Asha, Star, and Valentino off. therefore coercing them to hide underneath his desk instead. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. With a sweeping gesture, the case housing the forbidden grimoire flew open. As Asha peered over the desk, she had to once more restrain Star from approaching the king. Observing the distracting glow emanating from Star, the girl firmly took hold of him and tucked him back into her pocket. Then the thud of the book on the desk above Asha startled her. "Here I go again doing this," Magnifico chanted, caressing the pages of the lexicon. "I thought I'd never again do this," he added, voice coated with a petrifying poison unfamiliar to Asha. "But I'm hypnotized by how these pages flip because I refuse to have my power stripped. A potion, a spell, a summon, a curse? Anything to make that light reverse. As always, I don't want to be tethered, but desperate times call for desperate measures." A flash of green light was all Asha and Valentino could see from underneath the desk, Magnifico's voice remaining tainted by a spellbound darkness. "There's a traitor in this town, and still I remain unbent," he snarled, heading toward a large window that overlooked the kingdom. "Come out now. Explain yourself. Don't make me stage another accident." He snapped his fingers, green fire expanding from his fingertips. "No negotiating. Reveal the truth. Reveal your sin. Or simply witness a new tragedy begin." He paused, his deranged tone finally relaxing for a moment. Could it be her? No, but if it were... His intense voice then spiraled back into chaos as Magnifico summoned additional glowing pawns to kick, demolish, trample, and throw. A dramatic tantrum unfolding before Asha as she continued her efforts to escape the corrupt king's study. "Then this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get. Oh, this is the thanks I get." Upon successfully leaving the room, Asha couldn't shake the curiosity about the prior accident and potential tragedy Magnifico alluded to. This deepened her skepticism about the kingdom's history, further eroding her trust in him. Asha peeked into her pocket to ensure Star was still inside. "As soon as we make it to my room, you can come out. Until then, please stay put," she asked, feeling Valentino comfortingly lean into her calf. She bent down to pet him. "Thanks, buddy." The princess smiled. "Don't worry. We will save those wishes." As soon as Asha turned the nearest corner, she rammed right into Queen Amaya. Amaya, hi," she stammered, terrified the queen had overheard her statement. "You weren't at the address today," the queen reminded her. "Where were you? And what's all this about saving wishes, Asha immediately folded under the pressure. "I've been meaning to talk to you," she blurted, wrapping her arms around Amaya in an embrace. "So much has happened. I don't know what to do." Amaya's face softened. "Why don't you join me for a drink? Are you hungry?" Asha couldn't recall the last time she'd eaten. "Thank you." To Asha, Amaya was always so caring. As he trailed behind, Valentino sensed the eerie presence of being followed. It didn't take long for him to discern Lucy's eyes in the shadows, the cat cautiously advancing just behind them. Amaya giggled, having finally caught up a little with her daughter over some food and drink. "Dahlia spoke up a lot today," she explained, taking another sip of her beverage. The fire crackled beside them. "I remember when the two of you met. That stupid goat." She paused, glancing at Valentino. "No offense, of course. I am speaking of a different, much older goat." Valentino rolled his eyes, looking in the opposite direction, and finding himself face to face with Lucy. The feline smirked and extended his claws, sending chills down the goat's spine. He then tiptoed away, jumping onto Asha's lap. "My point is, do you remember nabbing that mischievous goat devouring my specially crafted desserts? Ah, those were good times. I know I say it a lot, but Dahlia's an exceptional baker." Asha laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, she and I shared a broken extra pastry and vowed to be best friends forever. After that," she swallowed nervously, playing with the side of her skirt as she sat. "So, about Magnifico." The queen set her drink on the arm of her chair. What's troubling you, dear? How do I say this? Asha thought carefully, stroking Valentino. It's the wishes. As soon as he showed them to me, something felt off. At first, I was upset he was hoarding them, granting only one per month at his discretion. If I'd done the math correctly, that would have been obvious, but Asha, you're muttering. It's all dark magic. Asha could hear Amaya's breath hitch. You can find what I'm talking about in that evil book of his. Taking wishes from people is in there. And I think no one should have such a power. But here he is, controlling everyone in the city as if it's a good thing. Amaya tilted her head, expression laced with concern. I mean, is he really controlling them? They come to Rosas willingly. What makes them willing if they don't know the truth? Almost all of the world knows our customs, Asha. This has nothing to do with our customs. This place is rooted in forbidden magic. Asha took a deep breath. You said it yourself. We are to protect our people, which is why the wishes belong with their rightful owners. You're right, Amaya responded, the reflection of the fireplace dancing in her eyes. Having gotten most things off her chest, Asha twiddled her thumbs, continuously wrestling with uncertainty. The dilemma lingered in her thoughts as she contemplated whether to confide in Amaya fully or keep the additional truth about Star locked away. Plus, there's the whole falling star thing. Oh, he's been losing his mind over that. It's scary, really. Thinks he's been betrayed by someone in the kingdom. Is that so? Asha cast a glance at her pocket, observing Star's radiance within. Well, please follow me, Asha. Amaya abruptly interrupted, rising to her feet. The queen's dress flowed behind her as she moved towards the door. There's someone you need to meet. Me? Asha stopped in her tracks, causing Valentino to bump into her legs. You want me to meet someone? In the dungeon? Amaya swung the door open, gesturing for her companion to enter. Unfortunately, she answered. Great, so they're a prisoner. Asha continued forward, walking ahead of the queen. Eventually, she reached what could be deemed the dungeon's central point. It didn't take her long to notice. Every cell was empty. Where are they? Asha turned to face the queen, a sense of dread settling in the depths of her stomach. Realization hit the princess like a brick of gold. However, it didn't hit her quick enough. Thrown into the nearest cell, Asha watched helplessly as Valentino was kicked inside right after her. Queen Amaya groaned, locking the prison door in an instant. What a pain, she hissed, placing a hand on her hip and hiding the key. Can't wait to tell the king. I told you so. Hey, Asha growled, standing back up. I can just use magic to unlock the... Overwhelmed by a sudden and unsettling haze, Asha felt her surroundings blur into an indistinct whirl. A disorienting dizziness seized her, leaving her limbs heavy and unresponsive. The room seemed to tilt, and a profound lethargy settled over her like a heavy shroud. Every breath became a struggle, as a sense of faintness enveloped her, casting a disconcerting shadow over her consciousness. What did you do to me? How could you? And then Asha collapsed to the floor again. Queen Amaya rolled her eyes. You didn't think I'd consider your magic? After all, it was my husband that taught you. Well, wasted it on a dreamer like yourself, really. What he needed was a pragmatist. Someone more like me. Asha coughed. What are you even talking about? You wouldn't get it. After noticing Valentino had been knocked out cold, Asha fought hard to stay awake. But now that I've found you, I'm sure he'll catch on. Amaya sneered, kneeling down. Isn't that right, sweetie? And then Asha's surroundings plunged into darkness. Chapter 6. Knowing what I know now. The exact moment. The dungeon doors closed behind Amaya. Star leapt out of Asha's pocket, magically transforming back to his usual form, after spending the previous hour as a hummingbird. The sickening sight of Asha and Valentino, both unconscious, broke Star's heart. Star tried to wake them, but to no avail. With determination, he transfigured into a glimmering butterfly, navigating through the cell bars, escaping through a small window, and soaring into the expansive night sky. Dahlia smiled in ecstasy. As requested, a fresh batch of cookies to share. The group of teenagers gathered around the kitchen island, eagerly anticipating Dahlia's freshly baked treats. As she placed the tray of warm desserts in their midst, some couldn't help but observe a noticeable difference between this latest batch and the one from before. Not Magnifico-shaped this time, Dahlia? Hal inquired, grabbing one of the cookies and observing its new appearance. Call it laziness, Dahlia remarked. Gabo chuckled, taking a bite. Any particular reason you chose star-shaped? Safi sneezed before commenting, Isn't that obvious, dude? Figured it wouldn't hurt to ask. So, has anyone seen Asha today? Dario impolitely asked, after shoving several cookies into his mouth at once. Which was a poor decision, really, because half a second later, Star was racing into the kitchen through a window and bombarding Dahlia, causing Dario to choke on his snack. For a brief moment, the baker panicked until she realized it was just the magic Starboy she'd met earlier in the day. Her friends, on the other hand, seemed mortified, with Hal performing the Heimlich maneuver on Dario. Hey, Dahlia! Bazima gasped. What is going on? Silent urgency filled the deity's expressive eyes as he gestured frantically, trying to convey the danger Asha was in. Through a series of determined motions, intense facial expressions, and many transformations, he communicated the need for immediate action to Dahlia, compelling her to follow him. Asha needs our help, was all Dahlia said to her friends, which she soon realized still left them in the dark. Oh, this is Star. Star waved at them, yellow glitter fluttering to the ground as his hand moved. They're friends with Asha. You could have mentioned that sooner. Gabo growled. No wonder you were acting so weird today. Wait, Simon interjected, appearing more awake than ever. Did you say Asha needs our help? Star and Dahlia nodded. The group made their way to the dungeon, Dahlia halting her companions at the sight of a couple guards positioned at its entrance. I can lead them away, Gabo proclaimed, rolling up his sleeves. Are you sure? Hal responded. The boy scoffed in response, cracking his knuckles. Are you questioning me? Yeah, actually. I am. I can help, Bazima softly spoke up, surprising her comrades as her cheeks turned bright red. Unless you don't think you'll need me. No, that's perfect, Gabo smirked. You can be the damsel. You what? Magnifico snarled, cornering Amaya in the privacy of their room. She's the traitor you were looking for. Queen Amaya stood her ground, explaining herself with hands that trembled. Did you actually see the star, Amaya? What proof do you have? She carefully shook her head, indicating she had nothing but her word to offer. Noticing the subtle unease in his wife's expression, the king took a deep breath to calm himself. And so you locked her in the dungeon? After drugging her. But not to worry. She'll be fine. He turned away, giving Amaya the chance to hug him from behind. I know it's disappointing, Mireille. Magnifico gently shut his eyes, leaning into his wife's embrace. And I'm so... Take me to her. Gabo went racing past the guards, with Bazima screaming in his arms, instantly stealing their full attention. Ahahaha, Gabo cackled, careful not to drop his friend. He then whispered to her, Psst. Hey, you gotta call for help or they might not buy it. I don't know if I can. She blushed. We're running out of time here. Just do it. Or should I have asked Hal for help instead? Help me. I need assistance. Bazima shrieked at last, face redder than a tomato. I'm not ready to meet my demise. In an instant, both of the guards took off running after them. Run, run, run! Bazima barked in Gabo's ear. What does it look like I'm doing? Hey, stop! The guards shouted as they went, disappearing around the corner. Go now! Dahlia signaled, being lifted into the air by Star and carried into the dungeon. Hal, Simon, Dario, and Safi followed closely behind, ensuring they weren't followed. Without delay, Star located Asha's cell, relieved to find Valentino had reawakened. The goat emitted cheerful mewls upon seeing Asha's friends. The princess, however, was still unconscious. Oh, Asha, Dahlia said, approaching the jail cell's door. I'm so sorry. Star was quick to transform into a firefly and dart into the lock to pick it, causing the door to creak open. Simon and Dahlia hurried inside, while Hal and Safi kept watch. But Star was quicker, hoisting Asha by one arm. Simon joined in, assisting by lifting the princess's other arm. "Let's get out of here," Dahlia recommended to her friends and Star. The group left without hesitation, disappearing with no trace left behind. Shortly after, Queen Amaya entered with King Magnifico, and he was not pleased at the sight of an empty, unguarded dungeon. With a furrowed brow, he shifted his gaze to his wife, casting her a smug expression. "You were saying—" "I wouldn't lie to you about this," Amaya snapped in return. She must have escaped. The castle guards from earlier approached suddenly, Gabo and Bazima in their grasp. "Sir," one of them acknowledged Magnifico. "These two were caught creating a diversion to lead us away from the dungeon." Magnifico's gaze sparkled with a vivid green hue. "I'll take it from here, gentlemen." "Sir," they responded in unison, releasing the prisoners and taking their leave. Amaya took a couple steps back, watching as the king began circling the teens. "I remember you two from the assembly earlier today," Magnifico remarked. "They're Asha's friends," Amaya chimed in. "How adorable!" Magnifico playfully squeezed Gabo's cheek, eliciting an angry response from the boy. "Staging a coup under our noses with the princess, are we?" "No," Gabo hissed in defiance. "We were just messing around. You know, as kids do. Right, Bazima?" "Right," she stuttered, beads of sweat forming on her temple. Magnifico checked his nails. "Speaking of which, do either of you know where Princess Asha ran off to? We've been worried sick searching for her all day. Shouldn't you be the one keeping track of your own kid?" Gabo quipped. The king's eyes narrowed. "McKay, I'm not getting anywhere with you." His attention turned toward Bazima. "Bazima, was it?" Bazima emitted a small squeak in reply. "All right, then." Magnifico rolled his shoulders. "The hard way it is." His hand floated toward them. "Tell me where Asha is, or you both can kiss your wishes goodbye since you're clearly affiliated with the traitor." Gabo and Bazima stared at him with utter horror, blinking in disbelief. "Kidding?" King Magnifico added with a smile and a laugh. "The looks on your faces, so priceless." The man wiped a fake tear from under his eye. "The dungeon is no place for kids like you. Go home, you hear?" "Come on, Bazima," Gabo said, tugging at her sleeve. The kids quickly vanished out the door, bringing an eerie grin to the king's face. Amaya advanced in confusion, but halted upon seeing Magnifico's raised hand. "Let them," he told her, "and give those two guards a raise." In a concealed and untouched storage section beneath Rosas, Asha and her friends gathered again, gently placing her on the ground, with Star quickly locating the nearest cloth to spread beneath her. Asha slowly began to stir. "Asha!" The entire group celebrated, leaning over her. "Here's some water," Dahlia announced, offering her a cup of water, which Asha slapped away, scaring everyone. The beverage was about to splash onto Valentino, but Star's arm transformed into a golden umbrella, protecting him. "It's not poisoned, is it?" Asha snapped, raising herself on both arms and scrambling away. Star was quick to offer her solace, holding his hands out to calm her. Milliseconds later, the door swung open to reveal Gabo and Bazima. "Is she okay?" they asked, rushing to join the others. "I'm fine," Asha replied, allowing Star to help her to her feet. "If it weren't for Star, you would have—" Dahlia's voice trailed off. Asha grabbed her friend's hand. "I know." Hal cast a concerned glance at Asha. "What happened?" I think I was poisoned." A collective gasp of shock echoed through the room. Star and Valentino shared glances with Asha, nodding in unison. The Starboy and the goat hurried off to close all the windows and doors, ensuring complete privacy. "You've been deceived," Asha explained, scanning each of her friends' faces. "The king and queen are not who they've claimed to be. They're more vicious than I could have ever comprehended. When I made a wish and Star came down, this is not what I expected or intended." Dusting herself off, Asha cracked a smile as Star rejoined her at the hip, emerging as the main source of light in the room, alongside a few torches Asha lit with fire-based magic. But now that it's happened, I don't regret it. Asha walked past her friends, everyone watching as Star used his shape-shifting abilities to create shadows of the king and queen on the walls. 'Cause now I've seen them show their true colors in shades of green, Asha continued bravely, saying that your wishes aren't safe because of me, and that's a lie. Lie. And I know I can't do this on my own, and... For a moment, Star became distracted at the sound of Asha's captivating voice. As soon as he refocused, he resumed his shadow puppet show. If it's not us, then who and when? If we don't fight, they know they win. Not allowed. Knowing what I know now, Dahlia discovered a Magnifico cookie tucked in her pocket. Pulling it out and examining it. The lengths they'll go, there's no amount. I won't sit back watch this play out. That's my vow. Knowing what I know now. After throwing the cookie onto the ground, Dahlia raised her arm in the air. Get up! Yeah. No, I'm not the only one that's fed up. Wait till they hear our feet go dun, 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 dun. Dario bounced forward, stomping his feet on Magnifico's doughy face. Hal sported a fierce smirk as she remarked, I don't think they're prepared for what's coming. A revolution hit the ground running. They all cried out in sync. If there's one thing he can't keep down, Asha declared. Uh-huh. Everyone responded. It's us, and the strength we've found. The princess concluded, determination shimmering in her eyes. It's too loud. Knowing what we know now. And who knows if we'll succeed? Gabo shrugged. But we won't stop, and we won't retreat or turn round. Hal completed Gabo's thought. Round! Knowing what we know now. Asha smiled at her friends. Knowing what we know now. Dario then began banging on some barrels as if they were a drum kit. Meanwhile, Star magically morphed into King Magnifico himself, dashing around the room with golden globes in his arms, taunting while pursued by the teens. Hoo 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 hoo, hoo ha hoo ha hoo ha, hoo hoo hoo. Safi added, Can they tell what we're becoming? Hear it in the way we're drummin'. Dario nodded at him, continuing to bash his makeshift instrument. I was sweet, but now I'm something else. Bazima cut in. Yeah. Ain't it nice of us to drop in? Simon sang, Valentino falling from the ceiling into his arms. To take what's ours, to take it back in, Hal announced, bursting with energy. Safi stated, reaching for the pretend wishes. They think we're nothing. Star reverted to his original form and reunited with Asha. But we're something else. Rosas' princess vocalized, coming face to face with Star and intertwining their fingertips. Boom! Their faces all twisted around to see King Magnifico in the doorway, green fog and electricity parading its way into the room as he did. Asha, there you... Magnifico stilled, killing his own voice at the sight of Star. The Star... He mumbled with widened green eyes. Amaya was right. Star was quick to position himself in front of Asha, extending one arm to shield her and her friends. Magnifico laughed, green magic dancing around his fingertips. Backed against a wall, Asha's friends weren't certain what their next move should be. In a way, they were almost fully dependent on Asha and Star. Star, it's all right. Asha pushed past the boy, showing him a look of reassurance. Dad? The princess cautiously advanced. I know what you're thinking. He scoffed. Do you now? Go ahead. What am I thinking, Asha? Swallowing the lump in her throat, Asha said, You're probably disappointed in me, that I would go and do this. The power coiling around his hands dissipated. But I'm worried about you and Mom. She tried to. I don't know exactly what she was doing, but she tried to hurt me. Asha rarely addressed the king and queen as her mother and father, but on those occasions, she often wished it would hold significance for them. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Magnifico sneered, closing the gap between him and Asha. My apprentice, my own daughter, has betrayed Rosas. He harshly gripped her shoulder, causing Star to flinch protectively. I didn't want to believe it when Amaya told me, but we simply can't afford to have a danger like you and this this creature from the stars around. Same goes for your friends. It's just not safe, especially since you have access to the wishes and seem to want to steal them for yourself." The teens all widened their eyes at once. "That's not true," Asha grimaced. "Say, why don't we read that little book of yours? I'm sure there's nothing in it about harnessing the power of wishes." Magnifico's eye gave an involuntary twitch. "Listen, all of you. I lost everything because of someone else's selfish wish. Some dirty thieves, no less. And I'll do anything to keep that from happening again. And so far I have. Are you and this anomaly intending to uproot that?" He let go of Asha's arm, shoulder-checking her before moving toward Star, curiously examining the boy. Following a brief interval of silence, Magnifico broke the quiet with an observation. "I must be going crazy," he snickered, "because you look oddly familiar." As realization dawned on him, Magnifico's eyebrows shot up, and he staggered backward. The king's reaction piqued Star's own curiosity, prompting the entity to hover toward him with narrowed eyes. "What is it, Star?" Asha asked, glancing to make sure her friends were okay. For Star, a moment unfolded where time appeared to stand still. Blue flames, green flames, nothing but flames far as the eye can see, dancing from one burning structure to the next. "Run!" She took him by the hand. "They're coming. Come on, hurry!" So he ran and ran and ran. They'd already cut down the king and the queen and the eldest prince. Without warning, a dark figure stepped into view, his emerald eyes cutting through all the fire. The last thing she did was scream. He ran again. He hid. He held his breath. He remained silent, for that was all he could do. There the man was again. He'd been caught. He looked up at the night sky, noticing a few stars in the distance, their luminosity piercing through the billowing smoke. He wished for help. He shut his eyes. He begged for a sign. But one never came. Only a sweet release. Without warning, Star lunged towards King Magnifico, who hastily conjured a shield-like magic to defend himself. The jade-colored magic gradually weakened against Star's relentless onslaught, as the boy wielded a golden staff, swinging it with all his might. "Star!" Asha's voice stopped him once again, his chest heaving with anger. "Stop!" He peered at Asha over his shoulder, eyes filled with anguish. Magnifico took advantage of the calm moment, summoning tendrils of magic that forcefully pressed Star and Asha's friends against the wall, keeping them firmly in place with an unyielding grip. Before Asha could react, Magnifico used his other hand to ensnare her too, though separated from the others. "See what I told you?" Magnifico giggled, silencing Asha with his stare. "Dangerous." "Enough of this!" Asha shouted, using her magic to counteract Magnifico's and free herself. "Drop the act and tell everyone the truth." She walked forward, pointing an accusatory finger at his chest. "All my life, I did nothing but believe in you. I wanted to be you." A single tear fell from her eye. "But this, who even are you?" "A foolish wish, really. No one can be me." He grabbed Asha's wrist and yanked her toward him. "Happy early birthday, Asha!" The strangest sensation overcame Asha as her wish was plucked from her. It wasn't at all painful, but she couldn't deny the most subtle feeling of loss. Everyone let out a blood-curdling exclamation at the defining scene, which unfolded before their very eyes. Asha fell to the floor, although she wasn't sure why. That should remove you from the equation," remarked the king, his eyes never leaving the glowing orb in his possession. "You're insane!" Dahlia yelled, seething. Star's current objective to break free was interrupted the moment he caught a glimpse of Asha's wish, the magic instantly pulling him in. Within Asha's wish, a fascinating vision unfolded before Star, the two of them singing to each other, locked in gaze and holding hands. An enchanting melody resonated from the azure sphere, accompanied by Star's own voice, a sound unfamiliar even to him. It mirrored how he must have sounded to Asha. It was nothing short of magical, a symphony of emotions echoing through the profound connection they appeared to share. First, Star sang, "If happiness was a tangible thing, It would be you. If you'd have told me the feeling you'd bring, I'd think it untrue. And people search for a wonder like you, all of their lives. You still amaze me after all this time. You pull me in like some kind of wind. Mesmerized by the hold I'm in. Leave you here. I wanna love you as one does. I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. Wow, Asha exclaimed, contributing to the duet by singing its second verse. What's pain? When I look at you, no way. I could explain you, even if I tried to. I'll never dream like I used to do. If someone tried to hurt you, I don't see how that could happen. I'd fight for you in ways you can't imagine. Felt this no, I haven't, I hope. It would be all right to stay right here beside you. Together they completed the song, its melody echoing in an endless loop. And love you as one does. I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. If you're ever feeling like you're lost, I will come find you. Man, all fronts. There's no ocean I won't swim across. To be right by you, and not just once here, and now I swear on my response. I'll remind you, and love you as one does. I will protect you at all costs. Keep you safe here in my arms. I will protect you at all costs. At all costs. And then Magnifico's haughty laughter snapped Star back to reality. What kind of a wish is this? He mocked relentlessly. They're a star, Asha. An alien. A burning ball of gas millions of miles away. Give that back. Asha reiterated to him, her voice weak. The wishes don't belong to you. I told you. King Magnifico spat. I decide. Because we all know what happens to wishes out in this real world. They get crushed. In another heart-wrenching turn of events, Magnifico callously shattered Asha's wish, plunging her into a realm of devastating pain. This profound anguish compelled her to crumble even more, the weight of sorrow and shattered dreams pressing her further onto the unforgiving floor. To make matters worse, he absorbed the energy from Asha's wish, uttering, "Ah, never gets old. What did you say?" Gabo snarled fearlessly. Wait! Dahlia threw herself into the interaction. You consume the wishes you refuse to grant, don't you? Magnifico sighed, his next words dripping with sarcasm. You kids are real clever, aren't ya? You're awful, Hal shouted, struggling against the venomous magic restraining her. I wonder. Magnifico chuckled ominously, green power from Asha's wish intensifying the vivid emerald shade of his eyes. If I consume enough wishes, could they keep me young and gorgeous forever? He crouched down, grabbing Asha's chin and lifting it. If so, I'd have no need for an apprentice. All of a sudden, Valentino chomped on Magnifico's heel, causing the man to cry out in pain. Run, Star! Go! Dahlia commanded, her voice cracking. Take Asha and run! We'll be fine! Without hesitation, Star morphed into a rabbit to elude the restraining tendrils of magic. He then shifted into a honeybee, skillfully dodging the bursts of magic that Magnifico launched his way. Finally, transforming back into his original form, Star dealt a decisive blow to the king, scooping up Asha and Valentino in his arms and swiftly making his escape. Outraged, Magnifico recovered and faced Asha's loyal friends. Let's see what power lies within all your wishes, shall we? Chapter 7. This is the thanks we get. With Asha in his arms, Star carefully navigated through the dense forest, weaving between trees, while the princess leaned into his chest and Valentino rested in her lap. Star's mind raced endlessly, leading to a brief distraction. In that moment, his shoulder collided with a tree trunk, causing him to tumble to the ground. However, he managed to twist in mid-fall, shielding Asha and Valentino as he landed on his back. Shwwa, rolling Asha onto her side, he looked at her with an apologetic expression. Thank you, Asha stammered, looking up at Star. He was surprised she thanked him after causing them to fall. Valentino positioned himself next to Star, their bodies in close contact. I feel so stupid. Asha coughed. Star's eyes widened. He hesitated, contemplating whether to touch her cheek. However, he quickly pulled away after reaching for her. What did he mean? Star tilted his head. Why did he recognize you, Star? The boy averted his gaze in shame, his glow dimming in the moonlight. You can tell me, Asha commented, resting her hand on his shoulder. Star shook his head. Grabbing his hand, Asha inhaled sharply. Please. Pulling away again, he traced designs in the dirt with his finger, sketching flames engulfing a village to unveil the details surrounding his demise. A man set fire to the town, turning against the rest of his people. The magically animated illustration emitted a golden glow, eliciting a surge of anger from Asha as she examined it. Puerto. Overwhelmed, and having forgotten her wish amidst everything, Asha started to quietly sob. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. Upon hearing her, Star summoned a golden flute, playing the enchanting tune that echoed the stolen song between them, once shared in the wish Magnifico had taken from her. Her eyes held a curious gaze upon him, while Valentino's attention shifted back and forth between the two. Asha wiped away her tears, the tune stirring something within her. How do you know that song? Using his magic, Star inscribed a circle on the ground, symbolizing the essence of a wish. Specifically, Asha's. She breathed heavily, her heart pounding. My wish, Asha realized. It's you? Star's eyes locked with hers, solace behind them. There's more to your story than how it ended, Star. She smiled, rising to her feet as magic swirled around her fingertips. Are you with me? He nodded, determination shining in his gaze. Within the secret laboratory beneath the king's study, Magnifico had been experimenting with his abilities. Oh, he sneered, observing a wish he'd plucked from the room above. A fantasy land in the sky, eh? How about Neverland? The man shattered the wish, quickly turning to another. The perfect nanny for your horrible children? Popping this one. Another wish, utterly destroyed. True love? How sweet. He crushed that magical sphere as well. So much for true love. Though he hadn't noticed, Amaya had descended the stairs behind him. What are you doing? She asked, with Lucy suddenly appearing by her side. Magnifico turned to face her. I had the star right in front of me, Amaya, he explained, the nearby cauldron boiling with a repetitive bubbling sound. The power he possesses. His eyes drifted towards the evil grimoire resting on the nearby table. I must have it. In the wrong hands, it is extremely dangerous. The queen's tentative demeanor changed to something else entirely. Are the wishes not enough for you? The wishes hold plenty of power, my dear, but why stop at them? The sorcerer scoffed. I need enough sorcery to be able to capture an entity from the heavens. A rather large task, don't you think? And what of Asha? Magnifico groaned. I don't even want to begin talking about her. I've been telling you for years she wouldn't understand, that she wasn't our only option. Amaya sighed. There was a moment of silence before she added, but I have believed in you from the moment we met. We built this kingdom together. There is nothing more important than that. Magnifico smirked. Come, Amaya. Promptly stepping forward, she approached as he turned away. Upon his return, he held a wish in one hand. I did some investigating. Indicating a page in the forbidden spellbook, he gestured with his other hand. By harnessing wishes, you gain power, decelerate aging, thwart interference from others. He handed her the wish. Turn yourself into a god. Amaya swallowed. And how many have you? A few hundred. Magnifico shrugged. Give or take, barely enough to even notice a difference. I'm still the same man you married. Am I not? Then what would be the point of an apprentice? Exactly, he interrupted, gently pushing the wish closer to her. Go on, squeeze it, feel it. Blinking up at him, Amaya's eyes revealed uncertainty. A moment later, and she was doing as instructed, an unimaginable sensation washing over her. See? Magnifico cackled, grasping both of her shoulders. Isn't it fantastic? Here's another! This time, Amaya crushed with orb without hesitation. This is all I ever wanted, Mireille. At first, Magnifico appeared alarmed upon hearing his wife utter those words. And what's that? Being yours forever, she replied. And you being mine. And with the star's power, we'll be unstoppable. He caressed her cheek. And Asha? Magnifico took a deep breath. I despise this, yet I'm still standing tall, he conveyed, presenting her with another wish while holding one of his own. In this kingdom, where I built every single wall. They both then absorbed the wish's power. If it weren't for her, I'd feel significant. Flipping through the pages of his book of dark magic, Magnifico searched for something specific. But now she has me doubting my relevance. Am I passionate? Or am I petulant? Amaya, say something before I lose my patience. Amaya grabbed his hands. Breathe, dear. The king shrugged her off. Do not tell me to breathe. We plucked that orphan right off the street, Amaya commented, eyes glowing green from the wishes she'd eaten. Thought that we'd feel complete. Didn't think of repercussions, did we? At least we have each other. The woman hugged him, reading some of the grimoire from over his shoulder. We can do without her. Jumping onto the table, Lucy's cat eyes mirrored the room's green hue with their emerald glow. I think we ought to turn back time and clean up this mess we made. You give your all and then some more. Don't forget, I've got your back every single day. Amaya watched as Magnifico landed on a page in the book, which showed an enchanted staff. We gave and gave and gave and gave. You think she'd worship us both, I'm perplexed. And after everything we've done, it's time she pay her respects. And then the both of them nodded at one another, collecting items for a spell and chanting, and this is the thanks we get, this is the thanks we get, and this is the thanks we get, and this is the thanks we get. Magnifico crossed his arms. You're such a great teacher, she lied through her teeth. And that's not all either. You're skilled and sharp and wise and sweet. Ugh! All those lessons and all her talent, yet she still fights back. Now I'm hell-bent. And that golden boy, thought I forgot? I say our shooting star merits getting shot. He cleared his throat, saying, Your thoughts? Amaya responded, You granted 13 wishes last year. 14. He corrected her smugly. Infinitely more than them, she rephrased, which doesn't warrant anything assuming they choose to repent. I'll cherish you no matter what. She kissed him on the cheek. You're more adored than you know. It's really just Princess Asha that needs to go. And this is the thanks we get? This is the thanks we get? And this is the thanks we get? This is the thanks we get. Oh, this is the thanks we get. Magnifico read some text aloud. To harness a star, he recited, turning to the next page as Amaya stood by his side. A staff, she pointed out. A staff of such power even the night will bow to my command. The king chuckled, locking eyes with Amaya. Perfect! He assembled the required ingredients. 1 branch of mountain ash bathed in Talon's potion, molten iron for strength, copper for strike, and most important, the power cast from the innocent hearts of 3. Magnifico levitated 3 wishes in front of himself and Amaya. You dare to question me and all that I do for you? You don't deserve to be granted, but through me, you may serve a greater purpose. Amaya took a step back, watching as Magnifico crafted a new weapon of destruction. Yes, yes, he twirled around, unveiling the staff. Am I glowing? I feel as if I am, yes? Amaya chuckled at his remark. With this, he declared, striding towards the stairs, we shall thwart Asha and the star, preventing them from undoing all that I've accomplished. Eyes glowing green, he murmured quietly, or die trying. Chapter 8. Careful what you wish for. Okay, Asha declared, her eyes bouncing between Star and Valentino. Priority number 1 is rescuing my friends. In response, Star used his golden magic to recreate a wish, cradling it in his hand, before crushing it to remind Asha of the remaining wishes they also had to save. Valentino nodded in agreement. All right, priority number 1 is rescuing my friends and the wishes. The princess included. Good point. She paused. Wait a minute. And then she was pacing back and forth. Oh my gosh, huh? I can't believe this. Fighting my own parents? This is insane. I mean, what if they're disappointed? What even happened to them anyway? I never signed up for this level of family drama. Do you think they'll understand? Or should I just run away? No, that's ridiculous. I need a plan. Or maybe a miracle. Ugh, why does it have to be me against them? Star gently took hold of Asha's chin, drawing her focus to him. Naturally, this silenced her, bringing a blush to her cheeks. He smiled, let her go, and gestured toward himself with a single thumb. I'm overreacting, aren't I? He gave her a pensive look, raising one hand and holding it flat, tilting it from side to side. So we free our friends and the wishes. Then what? Star rolled his eyes, gesturing towards her, and then indicating the castle in the distance. Why didn't I think of that? Asha remarked, wearing a determined expression. I just need to tell the people. They'll understand. Before he could respond, Star felt Asha tug at his wrist. Come on, let's go. Welp, Asha chuckled anxiously, taking cover behind a building that overlooked one of the main entrances to Rosas. Wanted posters of her were scattered everywhere. As they turned a nearby corner, Asha, Star, and Valentino came face to face with yet another poster. Asha casually removed the parchment from the wall, crumpled it, and tossed it over her shoulder. Valentino promptly caught and munched on the paper. Star, having transformed into a frog, sat atop Asha's shoulder. Do we risk it and find someone to talk to? Shaking his head, Star hopped down and landed on Valentino's, cradling his chin in thought. New plan, Asha declared, clenching her fists. Step 1. I turn myself in to distract Magnifico and Amaya. While they're busy, you find my friends and free them. A good place to start would be the dungeon. Step 2. Free the wishes. Concern etched across Star's and Valentino's expressions as they gazed at her. I'll be fine, she reassured them, and more importantly herself, taking a deep breath. I just need to stay calm, cool, confident. I can do this. After a moment of hesitation, Asha added, But are we endangering the kingdom? What would they do without a king and queen? Starfrog pointed directly at the princess. Me? Star and Valentino nodded, inadvertently leading to Star sliding off the goat's head. I don't know. Asha hesitated, her voice trailing off as Star returned to his usual form. Nervousness crept over Asha's expression, heightened by the visibility of his larger form, prompting a sense of panic. Star! Change back before someone sees you. He briefly hugged her before transforming back into his amphibian shape and riding Valentino around a nearby corner. A voice behind Asha caught her by surprise, turning out to be one of the king's guards standing among a few others. Hey! Asha turned gradually, offering an awkward chuckle. Employing her magic, she conjured an exact duplicate of Dahlia's Magnifico-shaped cookie. Cookie? The unlikely pair, Star and Valentino, stealthily navigated the castle's concealed passages to rescue their captive friends in the dungeon. Tension heightened as they approached the dimly lit, mostly vacant prison of Rosas. Shortly after they spotted all 7 of Asha's companions locked inside a large cell, an unexpected figure emerged from the shadows, prompting Star to change into a flea and seek refuge in Valentino's coat. Valentino, visibly annoyed by Star's invasive decision, quickly moved on upon seeing Queen Amaya. Queen Amaya, stepping out from behind the teen's cell, directed a chilly gaze at Valentino. To their mutual surprise, she seemed equally confused, questioning the small goat with a raised eyebrow. Valentino, her usually composed demeanor had been replaced by a touch of disarray, her clothes slightly askew and her hair a bit disheveled. I was expecting someone else, she admitted. Where's Asha? Responding on instinct, Star shapeshifted back to normal, protectively hovering between Valentino and Amaya. His eyes briefly met Dahlia's, who was silently cheering him on alongside the rest of her comrades. Are you the Star? Amaya rubbed her eyes, green magic flowing out from her palms as she did. Defiantly, Star stood with a pulsating golden aura, summoning the staff from before to guard Valentino. As Amaya inquired about Asha's whereabouts, Star couldn't help but sense a dark power in the room. "Where is she?" Star remained silent. Amaya skillfully maneuvered her hands behind her back, or so it appeared from the front. In reality, she was using her newfound power to summon an evil, enchanted dagger, her eyes ominously glowing in the dark as she did so. "Well," Dahlia caught on to Amaya's suspicious actions, urgently yelling, "Star, look out!" Amaya abruptly lunged at Star, but despite her magic from the wishes, she proved no match. Star skillfully grabbed her wrist and forced the green dagger to fall from her grasp, spinning her around and pushing her into a cell. With the swift movement of his arm, the cell door shut, trapping Queen Amaya inside. Star attempted to pick up the knife, but it sizzled the moment his hand touched it. Waving his finger, he transformed the dagger into a magic wand and claimed it for himself. Sensing her defeat, Amaya sneered. "It's not fair," she snapped, hands curling around the bars. "Asha was supposed to come here, not you." The defeated queen glared intensely, a blend of anger and a peculiar uncertainty in her eyes, leaving Star struggling to identify her true feelings. He then released Asha's friends, freeing them from their cell. "Thank you," many of them expressed to Star. Bazima even hugged him, immediately hiding behind the others to conceal her embarrassment. "And best of luck," Dahlia added with a warm smile, finding it challenging to stand. Observing her struggle, Star spotted Dahlia's crutch leaning against a distant stone wall. He hurriedly flew over to the walking stick, picked it up and raced back to offer it to her. Star then did his best to signal for Dahlia, Gabo, Safi, Bazima, Hal, Dario, and Simon to exit the dungeon. "Wait a minute," Gabo hissed at him. "Asha might need our help too. You expect us to just walk out of here and leave everything in your hands?" Star shot him an irritated glare. "Very, capable hands," the teen amended. "You kids are no match," Amaya announced, her regal voice obtaining everyone's attention. Star couldn't tell if she was trying to warn or intimidate them. "He's much too powerful, but if you decide to act, better do it fast." Gabo and the others were moved by the queen's words, motivating them to secure the safety of the townsfolk, while Asha and the wishes were entrusted to Star. Parting ways with the teens, Star and Valentino hurried deeper into the castle, ascending in their quest to rescue Asha and the wishes. Star's speed was far greater than Valentino's, so the goat eventually fell behind. Out of seemingly nowhere, Lucy pounced on Valentino with outstretched claws, the two animals tumbling into Amaya's private study. The fireplace crackled between the cat and baby goat, their eyes meeting intensely as Lucy's emerald gaze pierced Valentino's. And then the feline lunged menacingly, unleashing a relentless barrage of hisses and growls. "For 10 years we raised you," Magnifico snarled as he paced in front of Asha within the first section of his study, the curtain concealing the wishes tightly closed with sorcery. "And you go and betray us? I didn't ask you to raise me," Asha retorted, magically handcuffed to a chair in the middle of the room. "Just like our people didn't ask you to steal their wishes." "I am the king," Magnifico barked, altering his course to approach her. "I make the rules, and you obey. Why is that so hard?" He pointed his staff at her. "Now tell me where the star is, and what sort of magic you used to summon it." Leaning away from the tip of the scepter, Asha swallowed the lump in her throat. "I told you, I didn't summon anything." Magnifico extended his hands as if to strangle Asha in frustration, his staff hovering beside him. He restrained himself, grunting in annoyance. "You little... How do you know Star anyway?" Magnifico froze, his fingers bent at every knuckle, locked in place. The boy... "I don't." Asha held her breath. "It might help me to understand." She exhaled steadily. "Understand you. I mean, better. And this whole wish system. If you tell me the truth, that is." "I don't know this. Star..." Magnifico snapped his fingers, shrouding the entire room in darkness. A green figure appeared, its silhouette eerily similar to that of himself. "But I did know someone very much like him. Another faceless character manifested in front of the princess, this time resembling a fellow teenager similar to Star. "There was a boy in my hometown," the king continued, the two figures vanishing from sight as he spoke. "Being royalty, I only met him a few times. Odd fellow. Never said a word to me, to anyone. Quite taken with some peasant girl as well. What happened? I killed him." At that moment, Asha's entire world turned upside down. The room spun. Her eyes brimmed with tears. "What?" she murmured, fingertips gripping the arms of her chair, and then the back of her chair tipped forward, causing her to spill out of it. Magnifico, standing behind the chair, nonchalantly waved his hand. "Not to worry. He was only collateral. I sought a kingdom of my own, you see. However, it was quite unattainable for someone like myself." Asha's breathing became sporadic, her heart beating in her ears like a bellowing bass drum. Two more ghost-like figures ran past Asha as she lay on the floor. Magnifico stepped around the chair and forced her chin up. "My older brother loved to remind me that I was destined to be a prince, forever under his disgusting boot." The taller figure pushed the other to the ground, laughter echoing, before darting away with a group of rambunctious teens. Once again, the one who had been shoved bore an uncanny resemblance to King Magnifico. "I was just an accident after all. My family made that very clear." Magnifico left Asha's side, waving away the scene before her and orchestrating a new one. And of course they were correct. The only way I'd ever be considered useful is if something dreadful were to occur to my brother, perhaps on his coronation day, because Daddy was already sick. Asha rose to her feet, anger replacing the fear inside of her. "Since we're being honest, I feel as if my wish were truly granted when I discovered it." A familiar forbidden grimoire materialized, floating a few feet in front of Asha. Magnifico's younger silhouette stepped into view, engrossed in practicing magic and spells from the lexicon. As he trained, the second prince matured, gaining height and muscular definition. "Everyone believes it was thieves who destroyed my home, but..." Magnifico paused. "It was me." With another snap of his fingers, the room was engulfed in green flames. Reflexively, ice-like magic shot from Asha's hands, only to be devoured by the blaze, summoning some curse called... oh, what was it? Souls of the Weary? Yes, that's it. I erased my humble beginnings from history. Asha's upper lip curled and her nose twitched. "Humble beginnings?" the girl repeated, her brow furrowing. Though she couldn't see him, his voice echoed from every direction. "When you came into the picture, I wanted to give you everything I wasn't given. A seat at the table, magical prowess, the opportunity to become an exceptional leader, chances, wisdom, power." Veering into a tangent, he disclosed even more startling information. "I mean, Amaya's own wish was to be a mother. Not a great mother, though. Not even the mother to my own kid, technically speaking. Just a mother. Rather vague wish if you ask me. Anyway, the pain of not being one became unbearable for her. So I took her wish and... please tell me I'm standing here today because you granted it." Magnifico reappeared before the princess. "And absorbed it. That was the first time I did too. I should have shown you the wishes much sooner. I should have had you try to... Why didn't you just grant it? That would be a little odd, don't you think? Who would technically be her child's father? It couldn't be me if I simply granted said wish. Besides, no wish, no pain, plus children ruin everything. Like you, for example. Then why take me in? I wanted an apprentice. My intention was to train you in ruling and granting wishes, all while keeping you unaware of their dark side. Wasn't that obvious? Did you ever even love me?" Asha whispered. "Yes, of course." His expression softened, in a means-to-an-end sort of way. Undoing all of Magnifico's illusions with her own power, Asha exclaimed, "You sick, selfish, twisted son of a..." An invisible force pulled Asha toward the king, his hand wrapping around her neck. Magnifico cleared his throat. "Want to know why I won't give the wishes back, Asha?" She simply glared, feet dangling in the air. "I pursued my wish," King Magnifico sneered. conjuring his star-hungry staff. "Are you still eager to return the wishes, Willing to give someone like me the chance to burn roses to the ground, too?" Asha maintained a fierce gaze, sparks of lightning twirling around her fingers as she grasped his forearm. "What they do with their wish is not up to me," she choked out, choosing her next words carefully. "It's their decision to make and face the consequences, as you should." "How noble," Magnifico remarked disdainfully, eyes glowing. "Some leader you are." Exasperated and running out of air, Asha retorted, "Look in the mirror," her voice cracking as she spoke. Magnifico's visage manifested all around the two of them, reflected in the numerous glass walls and windows of his study. "Trust me? I am." All of a sudden, the wish sanctuary curtain swept open, unveiling Star. His hip leaned against a lowered lever, responsible for opening the tower roof. The wishes had already begun floating skyward, their presence capturing the attention of most of Rosas's citizens. Star yawned, cracked his knuckles, and directed a confident gaze toward King Magnifico. "Stay, insolent brat!" the villain grimaced, hurling Asha across the room before advancing toward Star. Observing how he mistreated Asha, Star scowled and quickly moved toward the king, readying his staff. In addition to their gazes, Magnifico and Star's weapons clashed. The king's following question lit a raging fire within both Asha and Star. "How many times do I have to kill you?" Deciding a joke would be an appropriate response, Star raised a third arm, casually shrugging while holding up the number 4 with his fingers. Chapter 9. Not All Wishes. Magnifico pushed Star away and rolled his shoulders, noticing how the boy's magic was gradually being sucked into his staff. "Careful now," he sneered. "This thing's hungry." Star's eyes widened as he witnessed his fingertips physically fading away, consumed by the encroaching darkness of the king's evil scepter. Princess Asha sprang into action, invoking basic magic to hurl Magnifico into the wall, prompting several books to cascade from their places on the shelves. Magnifico's ominous, subdued laughter echoed, heightening the tension in the room. "Asha," he hissed, his eyes sweeping over the wishes above him as he stood. "Stay out of this. You could get hurt." His grip on the staff tightened. "Oh, and I do apologize for the fate of your wish." The confrontation unfolded like an impending storm, each breath thick with the expectation of escalating conflict. "But I'll also require your celestial companion here." Approaching Asha and Star, he extended his arm, signaling for the floor beneath them to rise, "though you may want to take note of their condition." Asha's gaze locked onto Star's hands, his missing fingertips bringing worry to her eyes. Shaking off his words, her response was, "You know you talk a lot, right?" Magnifico's eye twitched. "How dare you?" "Like a lot, Asha specified. Star, trying to conceal his mocking smile, moved to cover his mouth with one hand, only to realize he didn't have enough hand left for the task. Rising to a height far greater than the castle's tallest tower, the platform beneath their feet made the city of Rosas appear quite small below them. "That's fine." King Magnifico cleared his throat, raising his staff skyward. Never was one to underestimate the importance of body language. With that, he summoned dark gray clouds to blot out the stars above, simultaneously pulling the wishes to the platform with an invisible force. Upon impact, a few cracked, causing Asha and Star to flinch protectively. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Magnifico snickered, aiming his weapon in Asha's direction. He cocked his head to the side, messy strands of silver hair falling ever so slightly. Time's ticking. He proceeded to crush a random wish beneath his boot, consuming every bit of its limitless power. "What's taking so long? Come at me, Star," he included, uttering Star's name with a disdain that seemed to roll off his tongue. Star was eager to attack the king, but Asha's outstretched arm restrained him. "He's baiting you," she explained. "If you fight him, that staff will steal your power in a matter of minutes." Star glared at her. "Plus, the people are watching. If you attack now, they'll think you're the bad guy." "That's what he wants." The golden boy's eyes softened. "You have to wait," she insisted, gently grabbing his wrist. "I need you here. With me." He gave Asha an anxious look before discreetly passing her the wand he'd been hiding. "You sly dog," she whispered, the sound of Magnifico's voice stealing their instant attention. "Are you two? No. Is that why your wish was—" The king doubled over, laughing harder than before. "Are you actually in love with the star? Don't you know how stupid that sounds?" He laughed again. "Knock it off," the princess demanded. "I know what you're doing. Why else would you bring us up here for all of Rosas to see? Maybe this will help motivate you," Magnifico commented before smashing another wish, his veins glowing with green power as the wish's energy merged with his own. "Yeah." Asha took a couple of nervous steps back, bumping into Star, who helped steady her. "Please keep in mind that my intentions are for the greater good of my kingdom," Magnifico reminded them, "and that may require putting a certain princess in her place." In the queen's study, a spirited battle unfolded between Valentino and the king and queen's cat, Lucy. The air crackled with tension as their eyes locked in a clash of wills. However, for the majority of the skirmish, Valentino ran and ran, trying to hide from Lucy. This proved useless, though, because there was nowhere a goat could fit that a cat couldn't, and Lucy had no problem relentlessly blocking all of the baby goat's escape routes. With excessive determination, Valentino then charged at Lucy, hooves tapping rhythmically on the carpet. The sly feline countered with acrobatic leaps and agile dodges. The dance of combat commenced. A violent spectacle of tiny hooves and agile paws. Valentino's headbutts and swift kicks kept Lucy on the defensive, but the cat, with a swift elegance, retaliated with calculated swipes. The room echoed with their dynamic exchange, each combatant striving for supremacy. In a surprising turn, Valentino, fueled by an unexpected burst of strength, managed to catch Lucy off guard. With a commanding kick, he sent the Siamese cat soaring through the air. Lucy's eyes widened as the fireplace loomed in the background. With a dramatic arc, Lucy tumbled directly into the fireplace. Below, hundreds of onlookers, including Asha's 7 friends, observed in horror as the castle tower's transformation captivated their attention. Many citizens even ventured outside the safety of their homes to witness the event, everyone's minds diligently working to unravel the mysterious battle unfolding above them. The vivid luminosity of Magnifico's irises sent a shiver down Star and Asha's spines, his intimidating footsteps encroaching dangerously. He destroyed yet another wish, causing one of the commoners to crumble to the ground. Seeing this, Star blatantly ignored Asha's warnings and advanced. Magnifico found himself on the defensive, as the Star summoned gleaming spears. As Star and Magnifico engaged, their weapons swung mercilessly, creating a collision of light and shadows that crackled through the air. "Star!" Asha called out, wand at the ready. "Your shoulder!" Star cast a glance at the area around his collarbone, swiftly realizing that his own shoulder was nowhere to be found. "Stay away from—" And then a blast of energy from Magnifico sent Asha off the platform, urging Star to abandon the king and rescue her. For a brief moment, Magnifico felt a sense of regret after hurting Asha, his mind toying with various uncertainties, or perhaps nudging him toward a different path. Regardless, he dismissed his thoughts and trailed after Star to the edge of the platform, surprised to see the star had transformed into a dragon resembling the constellation Draco. Deprived of his arms, Star had no choice but to catch Asha on his back. Swiftly he flew her to the platform, allowing her to dismount and regain her footing. "How's the view?" Magnifico remarked, turning to face the pair. Star menacingly bared his teeth at the king, and then another powerful blast of magic from Magnifico's scepter collided with the entity's chest. Unable to maintain his form any longer, Star reverted back to normal, trying to summon his own staff once more. However, he failed, and the item instantly hit the ground as he could no longer wield it. Asha ran to his side, pained to see the vulnerable condition he was coerced into. Magnifico, with a subtle display of magic, drew Star closer, leaving the boy astonished by the inexplicable grip he couldn't escape. "Just try and stop me," The man suppressed a giggle, watching with insanity behind poisonous eyes as Star was dragged toward him. Asha battled the king's summoning spell with one of her own, but he easily overpowered her. Star, his body diminishing, was then levitated by the malevolent staff. "Hello there!" The sorcerer beamed at Star. "Let's do this," Magnifico whispered, as the last vestiges of Star were engulfed by the staff. "Star! No!" Asha shouted in agony, reflexively equipping her magic wand and hurling a spell in her father's direction. He deflected it without looking at her, his eyes locked on the golden power trapped within his precious artifact. "Yes," Magnifico countered, the man's lust for power controlling his every action. Asha looked at him, astonished at the extent to which Magnifico was willing to go. As she hurled more offensive spells at him, he snarled, "How did you do it?" Effortlessly blocking her magical assaults. "Don't you get it?" he barked, continuously parrying her wand's attacks. "I wield the power of just one star," he added, gazing skyward with eyes aglow. "Imagine harnessing all the stars." Growing weary of her advances, he conjured a familiar green, hand-like magic to restrain Princess Asha and draw her to his side. Raising his voice, he repeated, "How did you do it?" "Do what?" Asha hesitated, both arms trapped at her sides. "Summon the star, duh!" "I didn't," he groaned, catapulting her onto the floor of the platform. She coughed, aiming her wand at him from the ground. "Tell me, or I'll make sure you never lay eyes on your precious star ever again." "I wished on one, okay?" Asha finally revealed, picking herself up off the ground. "Sheesh, I didn't mean for any of this to happen." He froze and raised an eyebrow. "Is that so?" Asha nodded, clinging to her wand. "Yes. Now let Star go." With newfound speed, Magnifico swiftly appeared before Asha, extending a single finger in front of her face. Mockingly, he remarked, "Star this, star that. If I endure another mention of that star, I'll toss you off this tower. With no one around to catch you this time." Asha fixed him with a glare, her fingers in the tip of her wand surrounded by a dance of magical energy. "Star was better to me than you ever were," she dared, her defiant gaze chipping away at Magnifico's ego. He emitted an irritable growl and flung her forward, leaving her perilously close to the edge of the tower. "Everything I did for you, and this is the thanks I get?" "I am thankful for you," Asha disclosed, delaying her inevitable duel with the king. "I always have been. Can't you see that?" She glanced at the people below. "Where would I be without you? Where would any of us be?" The green color behind Magnifico's eyes gradually faded away as she spoke. "I appreciate you taking me in," she continued. "Thank you for teaching me, for raising me, for everything. But this is too much. Someone needs to stop you." And then the green returned. "How sweet," he responded. "But your gratitude is worthless to me now." With an effortless wave of Magnifico's hand, Asha's wand leapt out of her grasp and skidded across the ground. "I control the wishes and nobody else. Not stars, and not you, me." Boldly hoping to snatch his staff and rescue Star, Asha lunged forward. Her hands gripped the weapon, but Magnifico, aware of her futile attempt, allowed her to struggle while keeping her in check. Engaged in the battle for the scepter, he seized the opportunity to taunt and needle her, weighing her down with each word. "Such wasted potential," he noted, leveraging the staff to gradually push her backward. Observing her trembling form, a sign of physical exhaustion, he teased, "Let's review, shall we?" Raising an eyebrow. "Dark Magic 101. What is dark magic?" "I just want Star back." Asha fought against the resistance, ignoring his commentary. "Wrong answer." He released his hold, briefly letting her possess the staff before summoning it back, causing her to fall backwards. "You wouldn't kill me, would you, Asha?" The question confused her, providing King Magnifico with an opening to propel her across the platform. Sliding backward, she dug her heels into the ground to stop her momentum. "No," she responded to his question. "I'm not like you. True. He examined his nails. There's no one quite like myself. Below them, gasps and booing resonated, drawing Asha's attention away. Do you really think, she snarled, that Rosas will just welcome you back? Look at your people. They're scared. Is this some kind of sick joke to you? Suddenly, a surge of dark energy hurtled towards Asha, prompting the sorcerer's apprentice to shield herself with defensive magic. Great form, my apprentice. Looking really good. Another reference to their past as teacher and student dealt a decisive blow to Asha's heart. Oops-a-daisy. Watch out for that one. A concealed ball of energy, camouflaged by the previous attack, forcefully struck Asha's shoulder. Now hanging from the platform with both hands, she struggled to catch her breath, grappling with the sudden twist of events. Her wand, imbued with Star's celestial powers, rested a mere few feet away, perched atop the platform, and susceptible to falling at any moment. Soon, as this happened, Magnifico ensnared the entire population of Rosas underneath a web of dark magic, using his newfound powers to restrain each individual. He stood above Asha, addressing the crowd below with a sadistic glint in his eye. All of you can shut up now, Kay? They continued shouting in distress, Dahlia and the others utterly terrified for Asha, as she dangled above the city. I said shut up! Magnifico slammed his staff into the ground, amplifying his power. There's no need to worry now that the star has been captured. He leaned down and said to Asha, Now, because of you, there will be no wishing on stars ever again. And for the last time, the wishes aren't yours to free. They're mine. Asha's eyes widened as her gaze met the wishes on the floor, witnessing each sphere abruptly crumbling into pieces. Magnifico, rising to his feet, had destroyed all the wishes in one sweep, devouring their magic in the process. A wave of grief washed over most of the people below, those whose wishes were decimated clutching their chests. In a moment of pure panic, Asha gradually inched closer to her wand while suspended from the platform. Swinging his staff around, Magnifico let out a sinister laugh. Mirrors! Mirrors on the wall! He cackled, his reflection appearing on just about every glass and reflective surface in Rosas. Who is the handsomest? Me. Pausing, he noticed Asha attempting to collect her wand. I win! The king stomped on her right hand, peering down at Asha. She cried out in pain, her wand just inches away from her. He then kicked the wand, sending it plummeting to the earth's surface. No! Asha gasped, desperately trying to catch the item as it fell. Give it up, Asha! Magnifico snickered. I have all the power of the wishes and the star combined. The sound of the wand landing on a windowsill below caught Asha's ear. Not all of Star's power, she stated, before using magic to set her own hand on fire, forcing Magnifico to move his foot away from the blaze. She then dropped, grabbing the wand from the ledge below as she fell. Please work, please work, please work! Asha muttered like a broken record, the ground growing closer and closer, as green magic twirled throughout the courtyard and streets of Rosas. The wand lit up, responding to Asha with a positive, overwhelming light. She then completely vanished, just before hitting the ground, bewildering the townsfolk. Magnifico stood breathlessly, repairing his burnt shoe with a simple spell. Despite all his power, seeing Asha disappear made him feel a strange sense of emptiness. In a sudden burst of light, Magnifico's hand was struck from behind, instantly disarming him. The staff found its way into Princess Asha's grasp, who quickly aimed it at her father. I win, she declared, freeing Star from the enchanted staff. Radiating with an intensity brighter than ever before, Star emerged from his prison, their light nearly blinding Magnifico. What the? Magnifico screeched in fear, blocking the rays of light with one arm. How did you... You know, apparating is a lot easier with the help of a magic wand. She then forcefully snapped the staff in half over her leg, releasing green magic accompanied by an eerie, shrill sound. No! He exclaimed in panic, observing wish after wish escaping from his chest, slipping out of his reach and returning to the skies above. Not my wishes. Yeah, Soaring above the kingdom, Star's radiant abilities triumphed over King Magnifico's jade tendrils of dark magic, successfully freeing the people. King Magnifico, Asha confronted him. You are under arrest. No, he retorted, as thousands of wishes continued to abandon him. No, you can't do this to me. After liberating Rosas' citizens from the clutches of dark magic, Star ascended higher into the sky. Another wave of intense light rippled out from him, restoring each wish to its rightful owner and undoing the darkness of the king's magic. The people celebrated, overwhelmed by the fulfilling sensation of being whole again. Having been tied to dark magic for so long, its lingering presence from the staff coiled around Magnifico's ankles without him realizing it. You spoiled brat! He strode forward, grabbing Asha's wrist and holding it above her head, preventing her from casting spells with the wand. I gave you everything! Asha felt the forbidden magic at their feet, its dominating aura making her feel weak. The fact that Magnifico didn't even notice the darkness proved his attachment to it. But now, your services, my dear apprentice, are no longer needed. He conjured a sword of emerald hue and pulled it into a ready position, drawing the blade over his head. Thanks for nothing. Asha put her other arm up, preparing to summon another spell to guard herself with. Anticipating the sword's descent, Asha tightly shut her eyes. But to her surprise, the blade never came. Instead, Magnifico was forcefully pulled to the ground by both ankles, dragged towards the fractured upper section of the forbidden staff. What's happening? He stuttered, digging his nails into the ground. Wait, I can change. Give me another chance. Star reappeared and kicked the staff closer to Magnifico, speeding up the process of his demise. A small explosion of green sorcery ensued, causing fragments of the staff to scatter off the tower in various directions. And then, Magnifico was gone. I didn't mean... Asha murmured, blinking rapidly. Did I just... Star delicately tapped her shoulder, hesitantly presenting the princess with her own wish suspended above his open palms. My wish? How could I forget? I mean, that's what happens when your wish is taken. Like, you forget. You know what Never mind. She couldn't help but identify Star's somber expression. What's wrong? He shoved the orb in her direction and looked away. Asha examined the image within her wish, slowly beginning to understand. You can't stay, can you? Growing impatient, Star snapped his fingers, returning Asha's wish to her in an instant. He fully turned away and crossed his arms. It's okay. Asha rested her hand on his shoulder, his light transferring to her skin. Not all wishes are meant to be granted. I know that now. The boy whirled around, enveloping Asha in an embrace, a hug from the star unlike anything she had experienced before. You don't have to go just yet, she hinted. In response, Star lifted Asha into his arms and flew her to the ground, the people of Rosa swarming their princess with cheers and open arms. Dahlia pushed through the crowd, forcing Asha into a massive bear hug. Grabbing her shoulders, Dahlia shook her with a mix of relief and exasperation. You gave me a heart attack, she snapped, while the remaining teens rushed to join in the embrace. No kidding, Dario added after everyone hugged. Your dress, Hal observed, pinching some of Asha's skirt's fabric. It's so beat up. Upon hearing Hal's comment, Star zipped beside Asha, snatching the wand from her pocket. With a graceful wave over her head, the magic flowed, causing a captivating metamorphosis in her attire. The once vibrant dress now adopted a deeper shade of purple, extending into a flowing, elegant garment that sparkled with enchantment. Asha, awestruck by the transformation, extended her gratitude, to which Star responded with a bow. After his fascinating performance, onlookers curiously observed Star, the boy showcasing his shape-shifting talents to entertain a group of small children after returning the wand to Asha. All of a sudden, a hairless cat went racing past Asha and down an alleyway, pursued by Valentino. Valentino? Asha picked him up mid-run, holding the baby goat close to her chest while his legs continued to kick. Where have you... She paused. Was that Lucy? Valentino simply mewed and snorted. Oh my, Princess Asha! A woman spoke up, approaching her. What happened to the king? A few other murmurs arose from the audience. She thought deeply before providing an answer. I'm not sure. Asha suddenly jerked her gaze toward Star. Where's Amaya? Chapter 10. When you wish upon a star. To Star's dismay, Queen Amaya's cell was empty. A pipe leak rhythmically dripped onto the cobblestone, enhancing the dungeon's eerie ambience. The guards standing behind the heroic duo, Star and the lovely Princess Asha, were poised for action. Would you like us to look for her, Princess? No, she replied. Let them be. The men exchanged unsure glances. Them? One of the soldiers repeated, seeking clarification. Queen Amaya and King Magnifico. But the king is... He's out there too. I can feel it, she added, the vacant prison peering into Asha's soul. But I doubt we'll be seeing them anytime soon. Beyond the castle walls, Queen Amaya, having escaped the confines of the kingdom of Rosas and its dungeon, walked alone, carrying the weight of a melancholy heart. All of a sudden, her ears caught the faint sound of Magnifico's voice. Hello? Magnifico shouted, his voice sounding diminished. Is anyone there? Approaching the source of the noise, Amaya's expression quickly shifted to confusion upon seeing her husband trapped within a fragment of his shattered staff. Kneeling down, she picked up the mirror shard and murmured, Mireille? Amaya, darling, her cherished husband exclaimed, helplessly imprisoned by the dark magic he once wielded. Thank goodness! Are you all right? I'm fine, she told him dismissively. What happened to you? He chuckled awkwardly. Asha happened, Magnifico replied. And? And what? You're stuck. That's not important, dear, Magnifico commented, rubbing the back of his neck whilst captive inside the mirror. But perhaps you could help me escape. Amaya thought for a moment. Maybe some time in there will be good for you. The man gasped in disgust. Excuse me? Out of seemingly nowhere, Lucy reappeared, the now hairless cat perching on Amaya's shoulder, with paws dangling in feline grace. Oh, it's just that I've been reevaluating some things, now that I have my wish back. Oh, that's great news, Amaya. That's... Magnifico's voice trailed off. Oh, don't worry. It's only temporary, Amaya assured, as she concealed him from view, drawing the hood of her cloak over her head. With a whisper, she added, Long live the Queen, a familiar forbidden grimoire adorning her hip. Needs. And then, Valentino crashed through the window and flour went everywhere, Asha recounted. Yeah, Dahlia was not happy. Accompanied by Star, Asha meandered down one of Rosas's charming streets beneath the bright glow of stars in the night sky. Unaware of the boy's desperate attempts to communicate with her, Asha continued to ramble. Valentino trailed behind, picking up on Star's hesitation to reveal that it was time for him to return home. Oh, of course I don't blame her. Goats aren't the cleanest animals. No offense, Val. Asha was hushed by a tug at the hem of her skirt. Glancing back, she noticed Star floating a few feet away, realizing that Valentino was trying to capture her attention on his behalf. Yes? Star slumped with drooped shoulders and sank to the ground, choosing to avoid Asha's gaze. He then drew a golden star shape on the ground, glancing upward at Asha as soon as he was finished. Sadi, she regarded him with a compassionate look, then positioned herself beside him, gently taking hold of his wrist. She used the tip of his finger to draw a glowing heart around the star, earning a soft smile from him. Seconds later, his smile waned, indicating the sadness within him as he contemplated the prospect of returning to the stars. We'll meet again, Asha said, her voice barely above a whisper. Star continued to frown, a poignant note of emotion lingering in the air. I mean, there are probably rules to the whole wishing upon a star thing, but who really knows, you know? Like, do I just wish? Or is there some drama I need? Being a teenage girl and all, problems are like a never-ending saga. In short, I do hope we cross paths again. Thoughts? Like, should I just wish or wait for a cosmic crisis? Teenagers, am I right? Asha finally stopped talking to take a breath, watching anxiously as their twinkling sketch faded away. Am I right? A kiss landed on Asha's cheek, causing a blush to spread across her face as Star cautiously turned her head to meet his gaze. The boy gently squeezed her hands and nodded. A smirk played at the corners of his mouth. Reluctantly, their intertwined fingertips parted, each fleeting touch leaving behind a delicate imprint of connection that quite literally lingered in the fabric of the cosmos. As if carrying the weight of unspoken sentiments, he underwent a graceful transformation, morphing into a luminous streak of celestial light. The beautiful display unfolded with a bittersweet dance, a silent testament to the nature of their encounter with one another. Asha watched as he reappeared millions of miles away amid the stars, a profound mix of gratitude and loss settling in her heart. Goodbye, Star. Asha's thoughts were interrupted by Bazima's voice, redirecting her focus to the teenagers approaching from behind. We'll never forget you, she shouted, waving at the stars, blushing, and hiding behind Simon. Dahlia and the others joined in on the send-off, a shooting star streaking across the sky as they collectively gazed upward. Do you think he'll come back? Safi inquired curiously. I hope so, Asha admitted, casting a glance at the cherished wand nestled within the pocket of her dress. I bet you do. Dahlia playfully elbowed Asha. What is that supposed to mean? Oh, I think you know. Gabo materialized in front of Asha, and as Safi leaned down to pet Valentino, it prompted him to sneeze. So, Gabo commented, does this mean you're the queen now? Oh, Asha stammered. I don't know. What if I turn out like Magnifico? You could never. Dahlia snapped at her friend. Even Valentino reprimanded Asha with a bark. I'll for sure need a council of trusted advisors. Asha grinned, enveloping Dahlia and Gabo under her arms. To which Gabo retorted, Ew, politics? No thanks. I believe that's an excellent idea, Hal responded, popping into their view. Ditto, Dario blurted. Together, the group shared a few more laughs, slowly making their way toward the castle. Imagine a place where wishes come true. Oh, where your heart's desire can become a reality. That would be the Kingdom of Roses. Under the guidance of, me, the newly crowned 18-year-old Queen Asha, the citizens celebrated their recently acquired freedom, turning the formerly oppressed realm into a thriving land of happiness and prosperity. Here, they were able to pursue their own dreams. The departure of King Magnifico and Queen Amaya marked the end of an era, leaving behind a legacy tainted by shadow and corruption. Yet, from the ashes of darkness emerged a beautiful dawn. Magnifico's malevolent influence dissolved, paving the way for a period characterized by true peace and harmony. United, the citizens and their queen collaborated tirelessly, laying the foundation for a future bathed in the glow of promise. And so, with the echoes of past struggles fading into memory, Roses continued to exist as a testament to the resilience of a kingdom that had triumphed over adversity, living happily ever after. Post-credits scene. When You Wish Upon a Star instrumental, softly playing in the background. Asha and Valentino sat side by side, overlooking the Kingdom of Roses from the tree where they first encountered Star. A few seconds passed, and then Star himself appeared in a flash of light. Next, in a shared moment of silent stargazing, the boy leaned toward Asha, resting his head on her shoulder. In response, she reciprocated, their heads finding support and connection in the peace and quiet of night. The end.